Chapter 2054. This matter is strange. Upon learning that strawberries could be cultivated in the northwest, Yuanmi asked Xiao Xian if they could take some home. Xiao Xian readily agreed with a smile. Tang Fanghua and her servant quietly trailed behind, their presence enough to indicate their desire to participate. Mei, once the most competitive, now remained subdued, her former outspokenness replaced by caution. Tang Fanghua longed to please Xiao Xian but hesitated to speak up. Despite her uncertainty about Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan's expectations, she couldn't bear to stay behind. To her, not joining would mean forfeiting any chance of redemption, an unacceptable loss. Regardless of her repentance, Tang Fanghua understood the futility of her efforts. Even her past act of saving a life seemed irrelevant now. Yet, she clung to the hope of fulfillment, despite knowing it was a futile endeavor. Xiao Xian prepared a delectable dinner featuring Qi's favorite dishes from home. Boiled meat slices, 4 happiness meatballs, stir-fried double crisps, steamed mandarin fish and prawns with eggplant juice. As Qi savored the familiar flavors, his eyes sparkled with surprise and delight, recognizing fifth sister-in-law's culinary touch. Xiao Xian chuckled with satisfaction, remarking that her doting on him wasn't without reason. Later that night, Xiao Xian anticipated Xiao Yunduan and Qi catching up into the wee hours, but as she settled Anan to sleep and prepared for bed herself, Xiao Yunduan returned unexpectedly. Surprised, Xiao Xian queried, "Aren't you planning to catch up with Qi? I thought you two would talk until midnight, given all these years apart." Xiao Yunduan grinned, reassuring her, "Qi will be around for a few more days, don't worry." True to his word, Qi lingered. After a moment of silence, Xiao Yunduan broached the topic. "Don't you find Miss Tang's behavior rather peculiar? She doesn't strike me as someone who would conform to typical master-servant dynamics. I can't fathom why she would sacrifice her life-saving favor to defend that woman." Xiao Xian blurted out, "I also find it unsettling. I'm not one to overlook things easily, and I certainly have no desire to cross paths with Lvang. It's surprising to see Miss Tang so fiercely protective of her. I even tested her during our conversation. I feigned interest in punishing that maidservant to gauge her reaction. I never anticipated she'd go to such lengths to defend her. It's straightforward. They'll send someone to inquire tomorrow." In the An's province, Xiao Yunduan wielded authority, extending even to Xiao Xian. Xiao Yunduan nodded appreciatively. "Time is of the essence. Thank you for your efforts tomorrow." Xiao Xian replied with a smile, "It's no trouble at all. These days have been rather mundane, so it's refreshing to have something interesting to focus on." Refusing to budge, Tang Fanghua and Mei lingered in the backyard of the state government office, while Vang remained holed up in the inn, too afraid to venture out after her previous ordeal. However, to Vang's surprise, Xiao Xian wasn't finished with her yet. The following day, Xiao Xian instructed the guards to escort Vang to the yard where Xianxia and the others were staying. They then confined her in an interrogation room for questioning. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 2055. Not at all. When Lvang laid eyes on Xiao Xian, she was overcome with fear, nearly losing her wits in terror. She felt as though her fate was sealed. Attempting to divert attention by speaking of her master, Lvang found Xiao Xian unperturbed. In An's prefecture city, the demise of a servant hardly raised eyebrows. Furthermore, Tang Fanghua remained unaware of Lvang's involvement, and even if she suspected, what could she possibly do? Surprisingly, Lvang appeared more composed than Xiao Xian had anticipated. Though Xiao Xian issued threats, she refrained from inflicting physical harm. Lvang, overwhelmed with fear, spilled her secrets willingly. There was no depth to the master-servant bond when one's life hung in the balance. No loyalty could rival the instinct for self-preservation. Agreeing to Lvang's plea to exchange information for her life, Xiao Xian learned the truth. Tang Fanghua wasn't the one who saved Qi. While Qi lay poisoned and unconscious, Tang Fanghua did encounter him by chance, but she wasn't his savior. The antidote pills her parents supposedly left for her were a fabrication. Someone else had already cured Qi's poison before Tang Fanghua stumbled upon him. His recovery coincided with her arrival, leading him to mistakenly credit her with saving him. Seeing an opportunity to gain a life-saving favor, Tang Fanghua ambiguously accepted his gratitude. Reality had unexpectedly turned in Tang Fanghua's favor. Upon discovering Qi's true identity, she was ecstatic, bordering on euphoria. With her parents deceased and her hometown inhospitable due to familial greed, she had clandestinely sold her assets, fleeing with 2 maidservants to seek refuge with her mother's distant sister. Yet, her hopes of sanctuary were dashed when she couldn't locate her aunt. Lost in panic and despair, she stumbled upon an unexpected opportunity. Qi, a 4th-grade general in the Northwest Army, embodied youth and promise, and he had unwittingly become her savior. In her eyes he represented stability and security. Naturally, Tang Fanghua envisioned him as her lifeline and desired to wed him. Though she harbored some affection for him, her primary motive was securing a lifetime of support through marriage. In her estimation there was no better match than Qi. However, Qi, while remembering his act of saving her life, had no intentions of matrimonial commitment. Despite her advances, he rebuffed her. This rejection left Tang Fanghua feeling a mixture of anger, embarrassment and wounded pride. What was wrong with her? She was his savior. Tang Fanghua had successfully deluded herself into believing she was Qi's savior. Why wouldn't he marry her? She pondered repeatedly. The more she delved into Qi's identity and family background, the tighter she clung to him. She knew opportunities like this were rare. Though Qi hadn't made any promises, he didn't seem to detest her either. With determination, she resolved to work tirelessly to win him over. Yet, despite her efforts, things had reached an impasse. Xiao Xian was left stunned. She hadn't expected lying to lie under such circumstances. Tang Fenghua's audacity knew no bounds. Not only had she seized the benefits and fled, but she also sought to settle here permanently. Fortunately, Qi wasn't one to be easily swayed. If he couldn't outright reject her due to courtesy or if her sweet words managed to charm him, it would pose a problem. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2056. Qi is dumbfounded. It was understandable why Tang Fanghua would risk alienating her husband and wife, upsetting Qi and even exchanging her life for Lvang's. In that dire circumstance, had she not protected Lvang likely would have revealed the truth to save herself, right? But looking back, it was all a stroke of luck. Xiao Xian seethed with anger, her initial intent to punish Lvang thwarted by Tang Fenghua's defense. She had purposely made the threat, never anticipating it would escalate to this extent. With a glimmer of hope, Xiao Xian turned to Lvang, asking if she knew who had saved Qi. Lvang shook her head, indicating her ignorance. Understandable. How could they possibly know? Xiao Xian abandoned further contemplation. The distance between them was too vast. She would leave it to Qi to decide whether to pursue the matter. As for the likelihood of uncovering anything, only time would tell. Arranging for Lvang's confinement, Xiao Xian relayed the situation to Xiao Yunduan and Qi upon returning home. Xiao Yunduan grasped the situation immediately. He harbored doubts about Tang Fenghua's character. How could she have been the one to save Qi? Xiao Yunduan couldn't shake off his disgust at the thought of such a person being Qi's supposed savior. Qi was left dumbfounded. His mind reeled at Xiao Xian's revelation, as if the very fabric of his world had been torn asunder. Had he been repaying the wrong favor all along? And what about his previous conflict with Tang Fanghua? How dare she deceive him? Observing Qi's bewildered expression, Xiao Yunduan, who had intended to speak with him, held his tongue. Despite his frustration, he couldn't bring himself to add to his brother's distress. After a long silence, Qi finally regained his composure and turned to Xiao Xian. "Fifth sister-in-law, thank you. If you hadn't uncovered this, I might have remained oblivious for a long time." He realized he might never uncover the truth in this lifetime. After all, who would suspect that their supposed savior wasn't what they seemed? Xiao Xian offered a comforting smile. What's false can never become true. Even if you don't know it now, the truth will reveal itself eventually. Try not to dwell on it too much. Qi nodded, though his thoughts still weighed heavily on him. How could he not dwell on it? He couldn't shake off his despondency. Xiao Yunduan said, "What are you going to do? Since you know the truth, you can't let her lie to you." "Of course I want to expose her," Qi exclaimed, his agitation palpable. "How do you plan to do it?" Xiao Xian inquired. Qi's resolve wavered, his brow furrowing. "I'm afraid she won't confess." He realized he lacked evidence to prove her guilt. Lvang, a mere maid, couldn't offer substantial proof. Even though he trusted Lvang wouldn't lie under such circumstances, Tang Fanghua could still deny everything or shift blame, leaving him powerless. Xiao Xian offered a reassuring smile. "If it's a fabrication, there will always be inconsistencies. You can try to catch her in a trap." "A trap?" Qi echoed. "Exactly. Since she wasn't truly your savior, she wouldn't know the specifics of what happened to you. Even if she tries to explain later, she won't withstand detailed scrutiny. If you set a trap, she might stumble in her explanations. Xiao Yunduan chimed in, your sister-in-law has laid it out clearly. The rest is up to you. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2057. Tang Fenghua's Huaixi glanced at his brother and sister-in-law, nodding firmly. You're right, fifth brother. I'll handle this myself. I'll go find her now. Let's accompany you, Xiao Yunduan suggested. We can also bring Miss Yuan Mi and General Qin along. The more people involved, the better. Tang Fenghua's audacity warranted no privacy. Upon hearing Qi's invitation, Tang Fanghua felt a surge of elation. Mei chimed in, playing up Xiao Yunduan's supposed guilt. I knew it. General Xiao has a kind heart. After all, you saved him. Surely he regrets his earlier treatment of you. His invitation is a sign of his regard for relationships. It's not a bad thing. Tang Fanghua beamed with satisfaction, feigning humility. I seek only a clear conscience. General Xiao is truly compassionate. He will come to understand me in time. You're absolutely right. Master and servant conveniently overlooked the fact that Tang Fanghua wasn't Qi's savior at all. Tang Fanghua had meticulously adorned herself for the occasion. Her bean-green embroidered powder and apricot hydrangea dress boasted narrow sleeves, exuding freshness and elegance. A simple bun adorned with jade hairpins and a chrysanthemum branch, inlaid with pearls, added to her refined appearance, evoking a hint of sympathy. Yet, upon arriving at the parlor where Qi had summoned her, Tang Fanghua and her servant felt a pang of unease upon seeing Xiao Xian, Xiao Yunduan, Yuan Mi, and Qin Yuanshan. Had she misunderstood something? Mei, however, wasn't disappointed. It seemed General Xiao hadn't specifically invited her miss to speak. Instead, there were all these irrelevant people present. Tang Fanghua greeted Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan with a smile before turning to Qi and the others. Qi, it's quite lively here. Yuan Mi and Qin Yuanshan, privy to the truth, regarded Tang Fanghua with disdain. Yuan Mi in particular couldn't hide her disgust. With a sneer she remarked, indeed, lively indeed. And it's about to get even livelier for you. Tang Fanghua, accustomed to such treatment, adopted a facade of aggrieved patience. Sister Yuan, what do you mean? Yuan Mi sneered back. Don't call me sister. I fear it might shorten my lifespan. You'll soon understand why. Turning to Qi, Tang Fanghua met his gaze with a smile. Qi, I was told you wanted to see me. How can I assist you? Qi cut straight to the point. Miss Tang, I was poisoned and fell unconscious. You claim to have saved me. Is that true? Tang Fanghua and her servant's expressions shifted dramatically. Qi, what do you mean? Tang Fanghua stammered. I'm asking if you truly saved me, Qi repeated, his tone sharp. Why would you doubt me? Tang Fenghua's voice trembled as she struggled to maintain composure. Qi's sneer deepened. You don't need to deceive me. The details of this incident can't be verified. You claimed your parents left behind a life-saving pill for you, but you've disposed of it entirely. With your parents deceased, there's only one pill remaining. I used it and it's now depleted. You don't even know the origin of the pill. It's a foolproof scheme. Tears welled in Tang Fenghua's eyes. It's the truth. If you refuse to acknowledge this act of saving you, then I'll leave. Why subject me to this humiliation? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2058, Argument, Aren't You Shameless? Yuan Mi exclaimed in disbelief. If Qi wanted to acknowledge this supposed life-saving grace, why wait until now? What have you gained in the past 2 years if he hasn't acknowledged it? Then why do you suspect me and subject me to humiliation? Tang Fanghua cried out. I've told you the truth. I genuinely don't know anything about that pill. All I know is that my mother entrusted it to me before she passed away, saying my father accidentally obtained it and it could cure all poisons. With my parents gone, I have no way to prove it. How can I explain this any clearer? Yuan Mi sneered. If I recall correctly, your parents were just small landowners with a bit more land than others, right? Do you honestly think it's plausible for your father to have stumbled upon a pill capable of curing all poisons by chance? You're too trusting. You willingly offered up the treasure your parents left you without even knowing Qi's true identity. Why wasn't I aware of your boundless generosity? As the saying goes, like master, like servant. You two are equally greedy. It's well known. Mei, her voice trembling with anger, interjected, Miss Yuan, do you have any evidence to make such accusations? I know you've never favored our miss, but this is going too far. You? Qin Yuanshan gently pulled at Yuan Miss' sleeve, urging her to drop the topic. Let's move on. There are more pressing matters at hand. Yuan Mi let out a heavy snort, her disdain evident. Tang Fenghua's tears continued to stream down her cheeks as she gazed at Qi with a mixture of sorrow and anguish. Qi, what? Why would you suddenly accuse me like this? Why would I deceive you? But I have no way to prove myself. What should I do? Even if others doubt me, don't you trust me? Qi's gaze turned cold as he regarded her. I only believe in the truth. I may have misjudged before, but not anymore. Xiao Xian intervened, her tone firm. Don't attempt to sow discord here. Qi didn't heed anyone's attempts to sow discord. That's why he spoke those words. Have you forgotten about Lvying? That girl is terrified. She fears for her life. Despite my leniency, she knows I could turn against her at any moment. What recourse does she have but to endure it? She divulged this secret herself to plead for her life. Miss Tang, what more is there to say? Tang Fanghua realized that Lvying must have caused the problem. She deeply regretted it. 2 years. She had 2 years to manage the aftermath. Why did she have to leave such a looming threat unresolved? Not only Lvying but also Ulvmei. Did she fear losing servants to attend to her without Qi's life-saving grace? Perhaps she should have allowed these 2 maidservants to meet untimely ends in the past 2 years. Her overconfidence had blinded her. She never imagined anyone would dredge up this matter again. Who could have foreseen today's calamity? Of course, Tang Fanghua wouldn't confess to it. With Ulvmei aiding her defense, she shamelessly shifted the blame onto Lvying. She concocted a tale, alleging that Lvying had harbored desires for General Xiao due to his beauty, and had schemed for Tang Fanghua to offer her to him as a concubine. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2059. Think about it, however, Lvying's disappointment simmered beneath the surface when her mistress rejected her. Yet, she concealed her emotions, leading them to believe the issue had been resolved. Who would have thought she still harbored resentment? Given the opportunity, she struck back at Mississippi. Her belief that eliminating Miss would grant her desires was naive. Naturally, the words of an envious and delusional servant lacked credibility. Was General Xiao inclined to trust the words of such a lowly servant over the young miss? It saddened the young miss deeply. Tang Fanghua choked back tears, closing her eyes in sorrow. Tears streamed down her face, a picture of vulnerability, yet amidst her weakness she managed to command Ulvmei. Ulvmei, cease your words. Yuan Mi rolled her eyes in exasperation. Xiao Xian shot a meaningful glance at Tang Fanghua before addressing Ulvmei. Should I arrange for your interrogation by someone skilled? How long do you think you can hold out? Ulvmei's heart skipped a beat, her body turning cold as if plunged into an icy abyss. Tang Fanghua was jolted by the realization. She knew it all along. She shouldn't have let her compassion cloud her judgment by keeping these 2 individuals. Clearly they were troublemakers she should have dismissed long ago. Madame Xiao, you're disregarding the court's protocols. Why have you taken Ulvmei without cause? Do you intend to extract a confession through torture? Qi, are you willing to entertain such a notion? Qi's voice was barely above a whisper. I can discern the truth behind a coerced confession. Xiao Xian scoffed. We're in An's province and I have the authority to detain anyone I please. What can you possibly do to stop me? I'm keen to hear your maid's testimony. Whose account holds more weight, Ulvmei and Lvying's or your feeble protestations? Tang Fanghua felt faint. She murmured, this is unacceptable. You can't do this. Suddenly, Qi interjected, you've been evasive and contentious, haven't you? Now, I'm offering you a chance to prove yourself. If you truly rescued me, then tell me what medicine did you use to dress my left leg? Remember when you questioned why I believed Lvying without hesitation? It's because of this. The person who saved me applied a bandage to staunch the bleeding. Was that you? If you were the one who saved me, you wouldn't have forgotten, would you? Tang Fanghua instinctively averted her gaze. At this moment, Qi could already conclude that she wasn't his rescuer at all. Xiao Yunduan snapped, Miss Tang, what's with the hesitation? If you dare claim memory loss, he'll have someone torture both you and your maid. I won't tolerate such deceitful and shameless behavior. Yuan Mi interjected with sarcasm, clearly she's at a loss. Naturally she can't admit it. Perhaps she's deliberating, weighing her options before taking a gamble. Who knows, she might genuinely want to feign forgetfulness. Tang Fanghua shot a venomous glare at Yuan Mi, seething with hatred. Initially she had intended to protest, "I don't remember." But Xiao Yunduan's menacing threat had silenced her. His words left her feeling utterly humiliated, as if she'd been stripped bare before everyone. Who gave him the authority to pass judgment in such a manner? Yet she could only seethe silently, unable to muster the courage to speak. She could sense Xiao Yunduan's animosity and icy demeanor. His threat of torture was no jest. Fear gripped her. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2060, Extremely Regretful. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Tang Fenghua's voice echoed in desperation. She must have mistaken me for someone else. Independent Illinois confess. I didn't claim to be his savior voluntarily. He mentioned it himself. In that moment of desperation and frustration, I entertained the hope that someone who regarded me as their rescuer might offer aid. Later I wanted to clarify, but the words stuck in my throat. I was confused and inadvertently went along. But even if I didn't administer the antidote, if we hadn't found Qi and brought him back, who knows what fate would have befallen him. Even if our efforts were insignificant, we should have tried. How could you do this to me? How could you? Tang Fenghua's words dissolved into tears. She buried her face in her hands, sobbing uncontrollably. She realized that her relationship with Qi was irreparable. The rosy future she had envisioned lay shattered. Qi wouldn't offer her another chance. Even if Qi were forgiving and easily persuaded, his siblings-in-law were not benevolent. They would never accept her. Regret consumed her. Why hadn't she dismissed those two maids sooner? Why had she allowed the confrontation with Madame Xiao at Yu's dessert shop that day? Alas, there was no going back. He received confirmation from her. Despite mentally preparing himself, Qi's heart still sank momentarily. The sensation was unsettling. Could there be anyone more foolish than him? He had even misidentified his rescuer. Tang Fanghua had a point. Though she wasn't the one who administered the antidote and saved Qi, she and her companions had facilitated his return. Their efforts were commendable. Therefore he chose not to dwell on the matter. He let the past be. However, Qiao Xian retrieved 40,000 taels of silver from the 50,000 she had bestowed upon Tang Fanghua. Times were tough, and 40,000 taels could secure ample provisions, valuable in times of crisis. Why was she so quick to part with it? Qi had been under her care for 2 years. With 10,000 taels he could repay her kindness. Considering her deceitful intentions, Qi could have rightfully sought retribution. Yet he decided against it. Qi and his companions had no intention of escorting her home. Therefore, Qiao Xian instructed her to gather her belongings and stay at the inn, departing An's city the following day. Tang Fanghua hesitated to make any distinctions. She merely requested a private farewell with Qi before departing. Yuanmi was astounded. She silently rebuked, after deceiving her so thoroughly, "You still have the audacity to bid farewell." Xiao Yunduan concurred. Qi was taken aback by his brother's agreement. Xiao Yunduan hadn't anticipated Tang Fenghua's words affecting Qi. So why did he intervene? Qi wasn't so callous as to be unable to address such a minor issue. If Tang Fenghua's plea softened his heart and swayed his decision, it would be truly disappointing. Tang Fanghua clung to a glimmer of hope. She seized this final opportunity to plead her case. With tearful remorse, she confessed her wrongdoing, painting a picture of misery with her background. She beseeched Qi for forgiveness, acknowledging her lack of support and pleading to accompany them back to the northwest, vowing not to intrude or cause trouble. She pledged to maintain her distance and not inconvenience him. She had no one to rely on and was afraid. She could only feel more at ease when she stayed in a familiar place like the northwest. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2061. Qi rejects. She wept and pleaded with desperation, employing every ounce of sympathy she could muster. Tang Fanghua played the ultimate sympathy card. She implored Qi to acquiesce. For her, the opportunity to accompany him back to the northwest signified closure on the matter of her impersonation to save his life. Perhaps it wasn't entirely unfavorable. She could embark on a fresh start. Only time would reveal whether she could gradually win him over. If she still had a chance to draw close to him. But she declined. Despite her tearful entreaties, Qi remained resolute, steadfastly refusing to even meet her gaze. It was out of the question for him to bring her along. What sort of person was he, then? How could he possibly entertain mercy after being so gravely deceived? Moreover, their kindness towards Anan, an innocent child, was testament to their character. He couldn't allow her to persist in pestering him. Tang Fanghua yearned to plead once more, but Qi refused to entertain any further discussion. He turned away, urging her to depart promptly. Tang Fanghua clenched her teeth, summoning an unexpected courage to cry out, "Do you still hold me accountable? Have I not atoned enough with my life?" As the words left her lips, she forcefully struck her head against the wall. Qi was stunned. Despite his years of training and sharp intellect, he hadn't anticipated this. With a swift motion, Qi pushed Tang Fanghua away with his palm, causing her to collapse with a muted cry. Clutching her chest, she struggled to sit up, her face drained of color. Qi let out a sigh of relief, his anger boiling over. "Are you out of your mind?" he scolded. Though in pain, Tang Fanghua secretly reveled in her boldness. She offered Qi a sad smile, her pallid face bearing the weight of regret. "Qi, I understand the gravity of my actions. Please grant me another chance. I'll change, I swear it." "Please, I beg of you." Tang Fanghua vowed that if given another opportunity, she would truly transform herself. She wished she could rip out her heart and present it to him as proof of her sincerity. Yet, what leverage did she possess to secure her redemption? No matter how earnest her plea, it held no sway in Qi's eyes. Qi remained unmoved, his temper flaring. "Enough," he erupted. "Leave at once. I never want to lay eyes on you again." This woman was clearly unhinged. How could he capitulate to her demands when she resorted to such extreme measures before him? Thankfully, catastrophe was averted. What if she had suffered a serious injury from her reckless behavior? It would have been a calamity indeed. His ability to judge character was evidently lacking. He couldn't even compare to Fifth Brother's discernment. Tang Fanghua wept in agony, futilely calling out to Qi. Ignoring her pleas, Qi summoned the servants and with a steely resolve, commanded them to escort her out immediately. Tang Fanghua cried out in despair. Tang Fanghua and Lovmei sought refuge in an inn. The following day they were forcibly expelled from An's prefecture city by the authorities. Her actions had incurred the wrath of Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian to such an extent that they would never permit her to remain in An's city. As for Lvine, Xiao Xian pledged to spare her life. Nevertheless, An's prefecture city was no longer a viable option for Tang Fanghua. Utterly bewildered, she didn't know where to turn. Desperate, she sought out a human broker and implored him to find a buyer for her. Xiao Xian sighed in frustration. While indifferent to the situation, she instructed the broker to sell Tang Fanghua outside the city, avoiding any dealings with the An's family. Selling such a troublemaker within An's prefecture city could potentially invite future complications. With that, the matter concluded. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2062. Separation. Qi swiftly readjusted himself. Fortunately, he harbored no lingering feelings for Tang Fanghua, only sorrow at being deceived. Qi and his companions lingered in An's province for 5 days before planning to retreat to their village for another 5 to 6 days. From there, they would journey back to Guiwu City and refrain from further visits. After spending 2 days with Qi, Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian departed for Liuhe Manor. The flourishing prospects and opulence of Liuhe Manor left Yuan Mi and Qin Yuanshan envious and effusive in their praise. The thriving development surrounding the manor was a harbinger of abundant harvests, evoking a sense of joy and contentment. Before parting ways, Qin Yuanshan, and Xiao Yunduan conferred several times, ensuring all necessary communications were addressed. On the day of their departure, Qi's eyes welled with tears. He held Anan in his arms for a moment before reluctantly relinquishing him to Xiao Xian. Qi tenderly stroked Anan's little head, eliciting a sweet smile from the child, who had grown accustomed to Uncle Qi's presence and enjoyed their playful interactions. Unaware of the concept of parting, Anan assumed Qi was simply teasing him as usual. After exchanging farewells, they parted ways, each attending to their own affairs. Qi and his companions gradually departed. By noon, Anan's thoughts still lingered on Uncle Qi. He repeatedly inquired about him, unaware that Qi wouldn't return for a while. Upon hearing this, Anan burst into tears, yearning for his beloved companion. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian, already burdened with disappointment, felt even more disheartened by Anan's distress. After consoling the young boy, they breathed a collective sigh of relief, though the interruption had dampened their spirits. Qi, concerned for Xiao Yunduan and the others' safety, not only visited to bid them farewell but also handpicked 50 elite soldiers, led by Qinjun, to remain in An's city. Their task: to protect Xiao Yunduan, Xiao Xian and Anan. In the event of any economic turmoil, having resources in An's city could prove beneficial. Simultaneously, she arranged for individuals to return to Xiaoding village to attend to Ms. Fang and the others. Although Xiaoding village was situated in a secluded area and generally safe under normal circumstances, nothing could be guaranteed. Qi found solace in leaving a few individuals behind just in case. Qi and Xiao Yunduan understood well that as long as the brothers were thriving outside, the family would remain secure and no one would dare harm them. In addition to deploying 50 elite soldiers to safeguard Xiao Yunduan, Qi also briefed him on the food supplies. The power struggle among the three princes showed no signs of abating anytime soon. News of it had already reached the borders. The Beihu and several other small tribes had begun to stir once again. There were already signs of minor probing. While the city on the northwest border appeared normal and bustling on the surface, defenses had been bolstered and scrutiny had intensified. The training regimen across various military camps intensified threefold in preparation for the looming threat from Beihu. Rumors circulated that Beihu was enticing Qingdi to join forces with him to cause unrest. The Northwest Army couldn't afford to disregard this potential threat. Despite Qingdi's relatively recent amicable relations with Great Qin, the significance of a mere marriage paled in comparison to national interests. Furthermore, Princess Shuangfa's union was not with the king but a prince, diminishing the impact of the marriage even further. While the Northwest Army had stockpiled ample food supplies, increased expenditure on armaments necessitated reallocating funds, resulting in a natural depletion of food reserves. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2063. Food. If any issues arose, it would likely revolve around the rations. General Feng and his comrades instructed Qi to inform Xiao Yunduan that should the Northwest face a shortage of food supplies, he could seek Xiao Yunduan's assistance. Meanwhile, amidst the power struggle among the three princes, the idea of allocating funds for rations for the Northwest Army seemed far-fetched to General Feng and his associates. They couldn't entertain such a notion. Thus, the Northwest Army had to devise its own solution. Upon conveying this to Xiao Yunduan, he nodded in agreement to extend whatever help he could provide. Qi, being part of the Northwest Army, was relieved by Xiao Yunduan's willingness to support. Moreover, Xiao Yunduan was keen to prevent Beihu, Qingdi, and their cohorts from wreaking havoc within the Great Qin Empire. Inquiring about the well-being of Qi, Meng Wanfu, and Ding Xiang, Xiao Yunduan expressed concern. Qi reassured him that both Meng Wanfu and Ding Xiang were faring well. With the Northwest Army now linked to the front line, Meng Wanfu operated among them, allowing for occasional meetings. Xiao Yunduan concurred. Sharing the same hometown, mutual care was highly desirable. He needed to confer with Xiao Xian regarding the food situation. His assent to Qi's plea stemmed from his confidence in Xiao Xian's concurrence. Though he couldn't directly handle it, his wife's capabilities were remarkable. Xiao Xian remained unruffled. She proposed, with a casual demeanor, "Let's construct additional granaries and increase our grain reserves. We can coordinate with Zhao Shu and elder brother Yuezhing to procure more grains." The tumultuous struggle for the third prince's throne had minimal impact on the commoners' lives. While the cost of food had risen, it remained manageable. Currently, the state treasury boasted substantial reserves, and both Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan possessed ample personal wealth, sufficient for stockpiling food. Xiao Xian harbored no concerns, as she had amassed a considerable amount of food within her space. Hence, the priority was expanding the granaries. Subsequently, she would oversee the procurement of food personally, leveraging her spatial storage to efficiently manage supplies. Given the internal turmoil this year, she also prioritized food security. Fearing potential shortages and resulting unrest, she incorporated all the food seeds provided by the authorities into her abilities. This ensured yet another abundant harvest. Regularly, during her walks, she would utilize her special powers to enhance the fertility of everyone's fields. From potatoes to corn, from fruits to vegetables, even medicinal herbs, she applied her abilities across the largest possible area. In essence, she maximized their potential. At the very least, it maintained stability in An's province. Upon hearing Xiao Xian's remarks, Xiao Yunduan nodded, smiling. "Then let's make necessary preparations just in case. I'll instruct Deputy Prefect Jia to scout a suitable location for the granary, and dispatch letters to Brother Yuezhing and Zhao Shu, requesting their presence." While Yuezhing was nearby, Zhao Shu and Taotao resided in Hangzhou. It would take at least 20 days for messengers to reach them and bring them here. During this interim, preparations could be made on all fronts. Surprisingly, 5 days later, when Xiao Yunduan's messenger arrived, Zhao Shu and Taotao were already en route to An's province. Their timing was impeccably aligned, though it meant they missed each other on the way. Nonetheless, this circumstance had its advantages, saving them additional trouble upon their arrival in the province. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2064. Finally, Revenge. When Zhao Shu caught sight of Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian, his demeanor resembled that of reuniting with his own kin. His eyes gleamed with affection, leaving Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian pleasantly baffled by his exuberance. They couldn't fathom why this somewhat eccentric young master radiated such joy. Taotao found herself torn between laughter and tears, swiftly offering an explanation with a smile. For Zhao Shu, this encounter evoked excitement and heartfelt emotions. He finally felt vindicated for his mother's sake. He attributed this stroke of fortune to the benevolence of the Xiao family, believing their influence facilitated everything going smoothly. Thus, upon seeing Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan, he felt akin to reuniting with his own family. Despite Jiangnan being embroiled in the prince's internal conflict, it remained affluent and tranquil. After deliberation with Uncle Qing and their associates, they devised contingency plans and safeguards against unforeseen circumstances. Precious assets had already been identified and clandestinely buried in a secluded cellar. Should any adversity arise, they could promptly flee and seek refuge with Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan. Curiously, both parties harbored the same inclination. It seemed only natural to turn to fifth brother and fifth sister-in-law in times of distress. Finding solace with fifth brother and fifth sister-in-law felt like the safest option. Given the current circumstances, venturing to the capital was out of the question for Zhao Shu. With no pressing matters at hand, he found himself with ample free time, thus he decided to accompany Taotao on explorations around Jiangnan. The bustling towns no longer held their appeal. Instead, they found themselves drawn to the quaint villages scattered throughout the region. Taotao, in particular, developed a keen interest in these locales, often expressing a desire to purchase them when she came across promising sites. As a result, Zhao Shu and Taotao traversed Jiangnan, acquiring several plots of land along the way. During their ventures into various villages and towns, Zhao Shu stumbled upon a coachman who had vanished without a trace following his mother's accident in a rural area near Jinling. Unwilling to let this opportunity slip, Zhao Shu promptly apprehended the coachman. Through a series of intimidation and interrogation, the coachman eventually divulged everything. Indeed, it was Miss Qin who orchestrated the scheme. As for Zhao Mu's involvement, Zhao Shu suspected his complicity. Even if Zhao Mu wasn't directly implicated, he likely turned a blind eye or even facilitated Miss Qin's machinations in secret. After all, Miss Qin was merely a concubine, while his mother possessed astute intellect. It seemed implausible that Miss Qin could orchestrate such a scheme without assistance. With Zhao Mu's complicity, the situation took a stark turn. Fueled by grief and righteous indignation, Zhao Shu confronted the coachman, venting his frustrations through physical force before dragging him back to Miss Qin and Zhao Mu. Even in the face of damning evidence, Miss Qin remained steadfast in her denial, dismissing the coachman's claims as baseless accusations concocted to tarnish her reputation. She insinuated that Zhao Shu harbored personal animosity towards her and orchestrated this charade to discredit her. Unyielding in his resolve, Zhao Shu threatened Zhao Mu, vowing to escalate the matter to the authorities and present the coachman's testimony as evidence. With credible witnesses, a thorough investigation might uncover the truth of the past, leaving Miss Qin with nowhere to hide. Panicked by the prospect of Zhao Shu involving the government, Zhao Mu scrambled to prevent such a course of action. Even Miss Qin found herself bewildered by the unfolding events. Despite her staunch defiance, the prospect of facing official scrutiny left her visibly unnerved. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2065. Dealing with Miss Qin. While she had attended to everyone else, loyal Auntie Ling remained under her care. The thought of Zhao Shu involving the authorities filled her with dread, knowing that Auntie Ling would likely face interrogation. Miss Qin couldn't assure herself that Auntie Ling would endure such scrutiny unscathed. Even she doubted her own resilience under such circumstances. Should Zhao Shu proceed with his plans, he would undoubtedly spare no effort in retribution. Miss Qin felt defenseless against Zhao Shu's onslaught. Financially, Zhao Shu could easily overpower her, and even Zhao Mu would be at his mercy. With Zhao Shu's demise, any familial ties ceased to hold sway over Zhao Mu. Though he might show leniency towards Zhao Mu due to their blood relation, Miss Qin realized she had no such reprieve awaiting her. Filled with remorse, Miss Qin lamented her previous leniency. If she had foreseen this predicament, she would have eliminated the coachman without hesitation, sparing herself this ordeal. In truth, Miss Qin had entertained thoughts of eliminating the coachman. However, he proved elusive, vanishing without a trace immediately after accepting her bribe. By the time Miss Qin resolved to act, he had vanished beyond her reach. At the time, Miss Qin underestimated Zhao Shu's resilience, presuming that even if she couldn't locate the coachman, Zhao Shu would likely face similar difficulties. Additionally, considering Zhao Shu's youth back then, she doubted his ability to challenge her authority in the future. With Zhao Mu's influence suppressing him, her own biological son seemed poised to keep Zhao Shu in check. In Miss Qin's eyes, without the support of Ms. Zheng, Zhao Shu appeared vulnerable, akin to a lamb awaiting slaughter. She failed to take him seriously, even contemplating ways to degrade and belittle him. Ideas of subjecting him to an unbearable marriage or dragging him through the mud crossed her mind, envisioning a future where he could never recover. However, Miss Qin's plans went awry after Zhao Shu's unexpected display of filial devotion, derailing her schemes and spiraling events beyond her control. Eventually, even Zhao Mu found himself unable to rein him in, leading to Zhao Shu wresting control of almost all of the Zhao family's assets. In the ensuing years, Zhao Shu retreated to a modest existence as a rural landlord alongside Zhao Mu in a small town. The opulence and extravagance of their former lifestyle became a distant memory. Gone were the days of luxuriant brocades and gleaming jewelry. Miss Qin now found herself constrained by financial limitations. Moreover, she endured Zhao Mu's incessant complaints and occasional outbursts, bearing the brunt of his frustrations. Blame for their diminished circumstances fell squarely on Miss Qin's shoulders, prompting Zhao Mu's occasional physical aggression during fits of rage. Initially, Miss Qin believed her situation couldn't get any worse, but now she found herself consumed by genuine panic and despair. Before she could formulate a plan, Zhao Mu callously shifted all blame onto her, siding with the coachman's accusations. He condemned Miss Qin as morally corrupt and announced his intention to leave her fate in Zhao Shu's hands. Despite Zhao Di and Zhao Ye's feeble attempts to shield her, their efforts proved futile against Zhao Shu's authority. Even Zhao Mu, their own father, stood powerless against Zhao Shu's resolve. Furthermore, Zhao Di vividly recalled the humiliation he suffered at Zhao Shu's hands during Yu Zhang and Zhao Shu's marriage, intensifying his fear of Zhao Shu's retribution. With no means of escape, Miss Qin unleashed a torrent of curses directed at Zhao Shu, Ms. Zheng, and even Taotao, Xiao Yunduan, and Xiao Xian. In a fit of rage, Zhao Shu lashed out, striking her with a blow that nearly split her lip. Determined to ensure she faced consequences for her actions, Zhao Shu orchestrated her sale to himself, bringing her to the Zhao clan compound. There, he confined her within the clan's temple, where she was compelled to repent before the Buddha each day. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2066. Is he that capable? He demanded Miss Qin's daily penance and prostration before the Buddha, withholding food as leverage to enforce compliance. In this new reality, leaving her temple was out of the question. She was bound to her penitent duties for as long as she lived, lest she face starvation. For someone like Miss Qin, the thought of death was unthinkable, ensuring her obedience. As for Zhao Mu, Zhao Shu found himself at an impasse. While he could bring Miss Qin to the clan compound or even to court, Zhao Mu remained beyond his reach. Despite Zhao Shu's legal adoption, Zhao Mu still retained his biological ties. Moreover, Zhao Mu's indirect involvement in the affair left Zhao Shu reluctant to let him off easily. Driven by his wrath, Zhao Shu's actions had already decimated the family's modest assets, leaving Zhao Mu's ventures severely depleted. With just 200 mu of fertile land remaining, opening a shop was no longer feasible. Zhao Shu extended his surveillance to Zhao Di and Zhao Yi, ensuring they faced a lifetime of stagnation and missed opportunities. He even relished the idea of their downfall into decadence, should they choose such a path. When Zhao Mu's anger rendered him incapacitated, Zhao Shu and Taotao sought refuge with Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian. Despite the consequences, Zhao Di failed to learn his lesson. Convinced he held leverage over Zhao Shu, he resorted to bribing individuals to spread malicious rumors and slander about him, accusing Zhao Shu of unfilial conduct and causing their biological father's demise. Without requiring proof, Zhao Shu swiftly enacted punishment, ordering his servants to administer a severe beating that left Zhao Di crippled and incapacitated. Seething with rage, Zhao Di sequestered himself at home, venting his frustrations through wild curses, yet refraining from further scheming against Zhao Shu. As for Zhao Yi, harboring resentment and possessing a cunning nature, he remained a constant source of concern for Zhao Shu. In the face of overwhelming strength, all schemes and plots amounted to mere paper tigers. Given his current stature, Zhao Yi couldn't even hold a candle to Zhao Shu, let alone concoct schemes against him. Even if Zhao Shu fell for Zhao Ye's trickery, Xiao Yunduan remained a formidable force to contend with. Unless Zhao Yi could eliminate Xiao Yunduan, Qiao Xian and even Qi, he would find himself on the losing end. But did he possess such capability? Clearly, it was out of the realm of possibility. Grateful and admiring, Zhao Shu expressed his appreciation to Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan, acknowledging their pivotal role in his current circumstances. If not for you, fifth brother and fifth sister-in-law, I wouldn't be where I am today. Marrying Taotao enabled me to traverse many places and apprehend that vile slave. I owe you both a debt of gratitude that I will never forget. Sincerely spoken, Zhao Shu's words resonated with his genuine sentiments. Had it not been for Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan, Zhao Shu would have remained under the thumb of Zhao Mu and Ms. Qin, constrained by their manipulations. He wouldn't have been able to rely on his biological father for the rest of his days, nor would he have had such a straightforward path to exacting revenge. This wasn't the first time Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan had heard such expressions of gratitude from him. It was simply his nature, often showering them with lavish gifts as tokens of appreciation. Qiao Xian couldn't even begin to count the number of expensive jewelry, antiques, calligraphy, and paintings she had received from him. Reflecting on this, the two couldn't help but feel a pang of guilt. If this pattern persisted, it would become increasingly difficult to accept such extravagant gestures. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2067. Fu Qiao Xian's smile was warm as she replied, "Indeed, we're family. As long as you continue to treat Taotao well, that's all that matters to us." Xiao Yunduan nodded in agreement. "Absolutely." Zhao Shu's response was immediate and earnest. "They'll always cherish Taotao and never let her down. If I ever do, you both have every right to hold me accountable." Qiao Xian couldn't help but chuckle at his earnestness. Taotao, feeling a bit embarrassed by the attention, whispered, "Please don't say things like that." If only he could rein in his tendency to speak so freely. With Zhao Shu and Taotao present, Xiao Yunduan promptly dispatched men to summon Yuezhing Xiao from Yuzhong province to discuss matters regarding food supplies. Yuezhing Xiao's arrival was swift, and the three parties engaged in discussions. Zhao Shu readily agreed to any decisions made by Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian, demonstrating his trust and support without hesitation. After some contemplation, Yuezhing Xiao recognized the potential of expanding his business further, especially given the established connection to the northwest through Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan. In fact, leveraging these ties, the Yuezhing family had already established a significant presence in the northwest, thanks to Ding Xiang and his wife. The northwest business line had become a cornerstone of the Yuezhing family's operations. With the northwest army in need, it was imperative for the Yuezhing family to take action. Even if the northwest army couldn't afford immediate payment, the long-term benefits of facilitating their needs far outweighed any monetary gains. This was an opportunity that transcended mere silver. Thus, it was agreed that upon their return home, Yuezhing Xiao and Zhao Shu would discreetly begin purchasing grains. Keeping a low profile was paramount, and secrecy was preferred to avoid unnecessary attention. After the acquisition of food, it would be transported to An's province in the name of other goods. With business ties established in An City, Zhao Shu and Yuezhing Xiao could conduct their transactions without drawing undue attention. The quantity and frequency of their shipments might raise some eyebrows among astute merchants, but few would dare to openly question them, given the current Lord Prefect's formidable reputation. During his 3-day stay, Yuezhing Xiao departed with his cargo, leaving Zhao Shu and Taotao reluctant to leave. The news of Qi's recent departure only added to Taotao's frustration, wishing they had arrived sooner. Regrettably, time was not on their side. Even if they hurried back to Xiaoding village, they might not arrive in time to intercept Qi. Unable to catch up with Qi in time, Zhao Shu decided to extend his stay with fifth brother and fifth sister-in-law for a while longer. Instead of personally overseeing the procurement of food, Zhao Shu delegated the task to his subordinates. With a capable team at his disposal, there was no need for him to undertake such errands himself. To console Taotao, Zhao Shu assured her that seeing brother Qi wasn't an easy feat, but they could always plan a trip to the northwest together in the near future. He admitted to being intrigued by the region's unique scenery, especially its vastness and desolation, which contrasted with the landscapes of the Central Plains and Jiangnan. Taotao couldn't help but chuckle at his enthusiasm. Observing their interaction, Xiao Xian couldn't help but feel a twinge of envy. Taotao was fortunate to have Zhao Shu, who was both considerate in trivial matters and decisive in significant ones, with no familial constraints holding them back. They were free to explore wherever they pleased, something Xiao Xian couldn't help but envy because she could not. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2068. Qi returns to the village. Hemming had already selected 3 sites in the transitional zone of An's province. Upon informing Xiao Yunduan, construction of the granaries commenced simultaneously, 1 large and 2 small. Following discussions with Xiao Xian, Xiao Yunduan initiated incentives for exploration. Whether cultivating herbs, fruit orchards, cash crops, or potatoes, taxes were waived for the initial 5 years, while the cost of purchasing uncultivated land was halved. Given An's province's initially sparse population and abundant mountainous terrain, the announcement sparked immediate excitement. Amidst contemplation, unanimity prevailed. The incessant battles among the 3 princes seemed boundless. Who could predict their duration? Who knew if they'd plunge the world into chaos? In times of turmoil, expanding domestic territory and resources seemed prudent. Meanwhile, at Xiaoding village, Qi had finally returned after years of absence. The Xiao family's first branch, along with the village and clan, brimmed with joy. Miss Fang and eldest uncle couldn't resist the urge to hold Qi's hands, their affection palpable. Ding Jinshan, hailing from the same village, had also enlisted alongside Qi. However, this time he didn't return. The Ding family dispatched a representative to inquire about him. Qi clarified they weren't stationed together but assured of Ding Jinshan's well-being. Despite his return, Ding Jinshan couldn't come back, yet he entrusted some items for his family, a few leather pieces and 200 taels of silver. The Ding family members felt deeply disheartened. They lamented Qi's actions. If Qi could return, why couldn't Ding Jinshan? After all, they hailed from the same locale. Couldn't Qi intervene on his behalf? Perhaps his influence could sway their superiors to allow Ding Jinshan's return? Even Ding Jinshan's grandparents aired their grievances more vehemently. They felt Ding Jinshan had asked Qi to bring back too little. They subtly insinuated to Qi, questioning if he harbored greed for Ding Jinshan's belongings and silver. Their suspicions heightened, especially when Qi remained reticent about the quantity of items he brought back. In the end, they confronted him directly. Yuan Mi, visibly incensed, reprimanded Qi sternly. Qi, now a 4th-grade general, had amassed numerous accolades and rewards through his contributions. Why would he need to pilfer Ding Jinshan's possessions? It was preposterous. Had Qi not intervened, Yuan Mi would have disclosed that the few pieces of leather and 200 taels of silver weren't gifts from Ding Jinshan but from Qi himself. Considering Ding Jinshan's modest prospects, it was a stretch to envision any financial security for him. Qi, mindful of their shared village origin, opted to alleviate his own family's hardships after years of absence. It was, in essence, a gesture of solace. Unexpectedly, not only did they not think well of them, they even let one's imagination run wild and made malicious guesses on the way. Upon hearing this revelation, Ding Jinshan's family was further astounded. They immediately turned to Ding Jinshan, their eyes bright with anticipation. Qin Yuanshan scoffed disdainfully. Do you truly believe attaining the rank of general is a simple feat? Qi possesses exceptional martial prowess and unparalleled archery skills. Through numerous acts of valor, he garnered recognition from General Feng, thus ascending to the rank of 4th-grade general. As for the Ding Jinshan you speak of, he's not even stationed in the same military camp as Qi. He lacks any remarkable abilities, he's merely a common soldier. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2069. Grudge, you best mind your manners. Showing disrespect to a general won't be tolerated. Whether you're from the same hometown or not is irrelevant. Should you overstep again, I won't hesitate to report you to your county magistrate for arrest. The Ding family, shocked by the stern warning, tempered their emotions. However, Ding Jinshan's grandfather remained somewhat discontented. Turning to Qi, he voiced his sentiments. I acknowledge your capabilities, Qi, but we share a hometown. Can't you extend a helping hand? Even if just a minor position given your rank as a general. We're from the same village, why this detachment? Anger and resentment brewed among Ding Jinshan's relatives. Absolutely. Aren't fellow villagers supposed to support each other? Yet here you are, neglecting your own. You promised to look after our mountain-dwelling kin. You've attained the rank of general, bringing him back should be a mere formality. In the end, wealth has clouded your sense of community. Qi's expression hardened as he retorted, military protocol is stringent. Ding Jinshan falls beyond my authority being a mere soldier. His return to hometown isn't feasible. I've elucidated this out of consideration for our shared village. Further discussion is unnecessary. Rest assured, in due time Ding Jinshan will return unscathed. Qin Yuanshan's threats and rebukes instilled fear in the Ding family, despite their lingering doubts. While they may not have hesitated to challenge Qi, whom they had watched grow up, Qin Yuanshan's stern demeanor was a different story altogether. Ding Jinshan's mother persisted, seeking reassurance about her son's future upon his return in a few years. She couldn't shake the notion that if Qi could ascend to officialdom, so could her son. Anything less would seem unjust, wouldn't it? Qi found himself at a loss for words while Yuan Mi derided, ask him about his capabilities. His contributions. Don't simplify matters within the military camp. Who told you that officialdom is a given? Growing impatient, Yuan Mi resorted to intimidation. Only then did the Ding family depart in a huff, refraining from further protest. Miss Fong, seething with anger, embraced Qi, offering solace. Pay them no mind. They speak from ignorance. The more clueless they are, the louder they bluster. You've finally returned, don't let them rattle you. Miss Fong was so happy to see her son home that she did not bother to argue with them, otherwise she would not have let them go so easily. The Ding family was also ridiculous. What were they talking about? Qi and Ding Jinshan applied at the same time. Qi was even younger than him. Why did he need Qi to take care of him? Qi bore no such obligation. His success depended solely on his own merit. Qi had never harbored any expectation for Ding Jinshan to tend to him. Qin Yuanshan and Yuan Mi mused to themselves. No wonder upon learning of Qi's tutelage under old General Zhao, old General Feng and his cohorts promptly scrutinized Ding Jinshan. Upon uncovering his character, they swiftly reassigned him to a distant military camp, ensuring Qi remained untainted by association. Engaging with such an individual would only spell trouble for Qi. Qi spent several days at home, much to the delight of the Shao family elders, the land officer and others. They even inaugurated a new ancestral hall, inviting Qi to pay homage to their forebears. Meanwhile, Ding Jinshan and his kin faced severe reprimand from the patriarch. The situation was truly outrageous. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2070. Once stimulated, it comes again in the past. Ding Jinshan's demeanor at home contrasted sharply with Qi's. While Qi demonstrated diligence and determination, Ding Jinshan often appeared lackadaisical and unmotivated. Such a stark contrast led some to speculate that Ding Jinshan might not have acquired the money and skins Qi had bestowed upon the Ding family. In contrast, the Shao family flourished. With a primus, an advanced scholar, and a general among their ranks, alongside 3 or 4 promising students in the local school, their prestige soared. With Xiao Yunduan and other officials in the court, coupled with the village's support, aspiring scholars need not fret over travel expenses for imperial examinations. The village stood ready to aid them, free from the constraints of nepotism or bullying. As long as they proved capable, Xiao Yunduan and his allies were prepared to lend a hand. The influence of the Xiao clan extended wide, benefiting all its members. However, jealousy still simmered within the second and third branches of the Xiao family. Xiao Xianwen of the second family section seemed to constantly draw the short straw. Whenever Ms. Niu felt agitated, she'd fly into a frenzy, coercing Xiao Xianwen into studying. It was a chaotic cycle, leaving both exhausted and disheveled. However, Ms. Niu lacked resolve, her efforts to prod Xiao Xianwen into action only fleeting. Once fatigued by her own persistence, she'd relent. Yet, inevitably when provoked again the cycle would repeat. Meanwhile, Ms. Ma and third uncle sought solace in boasting about Xiao Lilang's status as an official in the capital, emphasizing the superiority of urban prospects over rural ones. Their regret was palpable. Why were they blessed with only one son? Had they had two more, success would surely be theirs. Ms. Ma couldn't help but ponder if any noble women in the capital had taken an interest in Lulang. If so, they ought to expedite his marriage and produce more offspring. They couldn't allow themselves to fall short in comparison to the first family section's grandchildren. After a satisfying few days at home, she departed, content with his visit. It had been years since he last returned. Finally he was back. In the future, if he appealed to General Feng and others, perhaps he could return within a year or two. Contemplating possibilities, she entertained the idea of relocating his family to the northwest. If his parents could settle in An's province, why not the northwest? It had been far too long since their family gathered in its entirety. However, by the end of June, disaster struck. A sudden flood plunged the already turbulent Great Qin into chaos. Relentless rains caused the Yellow River to surge, breaching several dams along its course, submerging countless towns and villages. In an instant, homes were swept away, families torn asunder. Local officials swiftly notified the capital, urging the imperial court to dispatch aid in the form of funds, food, medicine, and clothing to aid the affected populace. The fourth prince, embroiled in conflict with the third prince outside Jinan City, seethed with fury. He flung the memorials from the disaster-stricken regions onto the imperial table, spewing curses. These wretches denied my rightful status as the true Dragon Emperor, yet now they come crawling for aid as if I were their sovereign? Shameless. Utterly shameless. Within the court, ministers engaged in heated debate over disaster relief efforts. Some vehemently advocated for relief, arguing that the emperor's handling of the crisis would rally public support. With the people behind him, the emperor would emerge unassailable, leaving the second and third princes no room to contest his authority. After all, the emperor was the true Dragon Emperor chosen by the will of the people. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2071, You Can't Do It. Opponents held a different perspective. In their eyes, the two usurpers who had already seized the throne wouldn't relinquish power just because the emperor garnered public support. Were they really expected to surrender the authority they had claimed? Impossible. Unless they were intimidated by the emperor. If the emperor dispatched disaster relief, they might see it as a ploy, perhaps even orchestrating it themselves. Disaster relief wasn't a trivial matter. It required substantial funds and resources. With the treasury depleted, where would the emperor procure the necessary aid? Once the treasury was emptied, the two usurpers might exploit the opportunity to mobilize troops. What recourse did the emperor have? Thus, he couldn't authorize disaster relief. Of course, outright refusal wasn't an option either. In that case, the emperor might opt to prolong the deliberation until the bitter end. Furthermore, the emperor issued a decree to the two insurgents, commanding them to organize disaster relief efforts, and to the magistrates in Jiangnan, instructing them to allocate funds and provisions for the relief efforts. Whether they complied or not was their concern. In essence, the emperor needed to assert his stance. Moreover, no one could fault such a stance. If the two usurpers defied the decree, they would appear callous and risk alienating the people. Ultimately, the fourth prince acquiesced to this suggestion, affirming his commitment to providing disaster relief. Efforts were already underway to amass funds, food, and supplies for transport to the disaster-stricken regions. Simultaneously, the second and third princes, along with the prefects of Hangzhou, Yangzhou, Suzhou, and Jiangning, received orders to promptly unlock their warehouses and assemble provisions, food, medicine, clothing, and more, for dispatch to the disaster areas. The second and third princes erupted into laughter upon receiving the so-called imperial edict. They couldn't possibly comply. They even resorted to physical violence against the eunuch bearer of the decree, promptly ejecting him. Publicly, they ceremoniously incinerated the supposed edict. Simultaneously, they reassured the populace of their unwavering commitment to disaster relief. After all, as the ruling sovereigns, how could they disregard the plight of their own subjects? They asserted that supplies were already in readiness and would unquestionably be dispatched. As for the impostor emperor in the capital, he was merely a regicide, having slain the rightful monarch. Who did he think he was, issuing orders? They dared him to prove his purported preparations by delivering aid, rather than spewing empty rhetoric. To underscore their sincerity in aiding the afflicted, the second prince promptly mobilized a substantial shipment of supplies. 30 laden carriages paraded through the streets, bound for the disaster-stricken regions. What did it matter how many supplies filled those carriages bound for the disaster area? Who would dare inquire? Who would risk divulging what they knew? Observing the second prince's gesture, the third prince swiftly followed suit, dispatching a consignment of relief supplies to the stricken region. Both princes scorned and derided the fourth prince in unison. Meanwhile, upon receiving the imperial decree, the prefectural magistrate of Hangzhou grumbled incessantly. He made no effort to prepare supplies, citing insurmountable obstacles. Truly, he claimed he was powerless to assist, yet daring to accept the decree proved perilous. First, the third prince, then the second, clandestinely dispatched envoys to intimidate him. Anyone brazen enough to heed the decree would learn a harsh lesson. Jiangnan lay a considerable distance from the capital. While the fourth prince issued decrees with apparent candor, should a crisis unfold, his ability to intervene would be limited. The state of Great Qin teetered precariously balanced amidst an enigmatic landscape of power dynamics. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2072, Chaos in the World and Territories Beyond the Dominion of the Three Princes. Officials continued their duties obediently, avoiding any hasty actions. So long as they refrained from impulsive moves, they reasoned they'd remain unscathed. Publicly aligning oneself with a particular faction meant relying on one's master for protection. Should their patrons fail to safeguard them, they'd face dire consequences. In such a precarious climate, it was prudent to abstain from taking sides. Self-preservation took precedence. Surrendering allegiance could always be considered once the dust settled among the three princes. After all, the masses were typically spared legal retribution. When the time came, the victor would likely be preoccupied with consolidating power rather than settling old scores. In the intermediate palace, the fourth prince vented his frustration with countless curses and damaged decorations, ultimately relenting to dispatch some supplies to the disaster area. In Jiangnan, stagnation prevailed. Communities focused solely on self-preservation while elsewhere, there seemed little anyone could do. The theatrics of the three princes appeared just that, an act. Their proclaimed resources for disaster relief appeared meager on the surface and woefully inadequate in reality. This calamity proved severe, its impact continually expanding. Nearly 20 towns across the intermediate and lower reaches of the Yellow River lay in ruins. Desperation and mourning gripped the disaster-stricken populace. Angry and desperate, commoners turned against the government and plundered the wealthy. Banditry surged and waves of refugees flooded the region. Groups of varying sizes fled in all directions, dragging loved ones and abandoning villages in despair. The Central Plains descended into chaos. Shortly thereafter, intermediate generals and Shu expelled local officials, hoisted their own banners and rebelled, offering refuge to the displaced masses. The world erupted in chaos. In response, the three princes issued decrees condemning the rebels, but no one mobilized troops for intervention. No one wished to deplete their resources. Observing this, turmoil deepened. The royal family's authority teetered on the brink of collapse. Nanyue also raised the standard of rebellion. Within a year, more and more ambitious individuals joined the fray, coalescing into numerous factions. Simultaneously, banditry surged. Hooligans and ruffians grew increasingly bold, perpetrating robberies and thefts with alarming frequency in both large and small towns. Amidst the chaos, countless opportunists seized the moment to settle old scores, exact revenge on past adversaries, or eliminate competitors, adding to the tumult. The world spiraled deeper into disarray. In response, the three princes grew increasingly restless. The second prince took the initiative, dispatching troops to conquer neighboring towns, aiming to expand his territory and consolidate power. Not to be outdone, the third and fourth princes swiftly followed suit. In a bid to undermine each other, they launched sudden attacks, engaging in fierce battles with fluctuating outcomes. Witnessing the power struggle among the princes, other influential factions with their own ambitions weren't to be left behind. They too mobilized, targeting the emerging smaller factions. Their strength swelled and they grew bolder, unafraid to confront even the princes themselves. As the world plunged further into chaos, even the princes found themselves powerless against the rising tide. Inevitably, An's Prefecture city, nestled in a remote corner, could no longer remain untouched. Initially, a trickle of refugees began pouring in. Hundreds, even thousands, arrived in ragged attire, bearing the weight of extreme poverty. Unable to turn a blind eye, Xiao Yunduan took action. He initiated the construction of shelters outside the city to provide refuge for the influx of displaced souls. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2073. Discussing settlement of the refugees. However, as the number of people swelled to 600 to 700, with uncertainty looming over the possibility of even more arrivals, passivity was no longer an option. Xiao Yunduan convened Jia Heming Zheng Sang, along with a handful of scribes Sun Bai, Sun Qian and Xiao Xian. His wife, well-versed in such affairs, played a crucial role. In the past, such actions might have been deemed inappropriate. Yet, in the midst of this chaotic era, what defined appropriateness? It boiled down to the willingness of all involved. During the deliberations, the appearance of Madame Xiao surprised no one. Xiao Yunduan recounted the situation, prompting nods from everyone as discussions ensued. Indeed, my lord. Establishing a protocol is imperative, one voiced. Absolutely. In our current reality, Sai, despite An's prefecture city's remoteness, the influx of refugees is staggering. Without proper settlement, the ramifications could be dire. Fortunately, we have you, my lord. Your leadership brings reassurance to all. Indeed, indeed. Let us heed Lord's guidance. Absolutely, absolutely, Xiao Yunduan with a genial smile interjected. I invite you all to contribute your ideas collectively. Share your thoughts and suggestions on how best to settle the refugees without disrupting the harmony of An's province. Your input is invaluable, so please speak freely. Having collaborated with Lord Xiao for numerous years, everyone understood his approach. Lord Xiao was always receptive to input. By convening this discussion, he signaled his openness to ideas. The more innovative the contributions, the more esteemed they would be in Lord Xiao's eyes. Take Jia Heming for instance. Initially reserved, he now confidently showcased his intellect in Lord Xiao's presence, earning Lord Xiao's admiration. Observing him now, standing resolute before the deputy prefect, Jia Heming exuded a sense of accomplishment. Following deliberation, they resolved to settle the refugees and engage them in labor in exchange for support for their families. While this served as a broad framework, the intricacies demanded thorough comprehension. Clear understanding was paramount to preempting oversights and averting potential complications in implementation. Jia Heming, adept in such matters, assumed leadership, supported by Songsher and Lu Fu, under Qiao Xian's employ, who offered their experienced assistance. Crucially, the government warehouse boasted ample reserves of both funds and provisions. Furthermore, they could rely on the unwavering support of Madame Xiao. Despite these assurances, Jia Heming proceeded cautiously, mindful of the uncertain influx of future refugees. Over the past few days, the numbers had seen a modest increase. Jia Heming delegated a clerk to meticulously register each refugee, cataloging their origins and familial ties. Not a single individual, including the elderly and children, would be overlooked. Subsequently, parcels of land, suitable for temporary settlement and short-term labor, would be allocated to groups of approximately 1,000 individuals. He aimed to identify 3 to 5 suitable locations for such settlements. Taking charge, Xiao Xian embarked on the task alongside Yi Mianmian and Songsher. Though Xiao Yunduan harbored reservations, Xiao Xian remained resolute. Accustomed to acquiescing to her wishes, Xiao Yunduan acquiesced once more, albeit with a resigned sigh and some gentle reprimand. Eventually, he entrusted Yi with her care before reluctantly letting her depart. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2074. Interim Plan. Xiao Xian was brimming with excitement. She harbored immense joy at the prospect ahead, though she made a conscious effort to conceal it from Xiao Yunduan. Exploring the mountains, rivers, and forests of An's province had been a long-standing desire of hers. Finally, an opportunity had presented itself. Considering the logistical challenges of accommodating thousands of people, the settlement's location couldn't stray too far from town. Practicality demanded accessibility for efficient management and the convenience of its inhabitants. Selecting a site necessitated a balance. Proximity to town for ease of access yet distant enough to ensure manageable logistics and resource availability, particularly water. The chosen location lay an hour or even 2 away from the settlement, a distance deemed manageable. It was a mere token effort for them. 3 days later, Xiao Xian led Xiao Yunduan and Jia Heming to inspect the chosen site for relocating the refugees. Situated an hour's journey south of An's prefecture city, it boasted a small hill with gentle undulations and sparse tree growth, a promising canvas for development. Building a settlement capable of housing over 1,000 people posed no significant challenges here. The refugees, venturing southward for over an hour, stumbled upon a swamp. Upon consulting her powers, Xiao Xian discerned that the swamp harbored untapped potential. Its shallow mud offered a canvas for development, ripe for transformation into either paddy fields or fish ponds. With an estimated capacity of around 30,000 mu, the addition of such fertile land heralded a boon for An's province, where arable land was scarce amidst the rugged terrain. Despite the enthusiasm for land clearing, previous efforts had primarily focused on drylands and mountains. Exploring the mountainous regions proved arduous, a fact well known to all. For Xiao Xian, this task was relatively straightforward, owing to her substantial resources. Few could afford to undertake the daunting task of demolishing homes belonging to ordinary people. Clearing the land demanded painstaking effort both above and below ground. Trees, weeds, bushes and thorns littered the surface, while below, a labyrinth of roots tangled intricately, resembling fishing nets and chessboards, a formidable challenge to overcome. That wasn't the end of the challenges. The freshly cleared land would be in its initial stages for the first 3 years, demanding significantly more effort to tend due to rampant weed growth. The relentless task of weeding alone promised exhaustion. Furthermore, post-reclamation, taxes would be levied, albeit modestly considering the limited yield. Moreover, acquiring land necessitated financial investment, a barrier that deterred commoners from embarking on land exploration ventures. The initial years posed formidable challenges, dissuading all but the most determined individuals from enduring the hardships unless absolutely necessary. Xiao Xian's leadership, however, had spurred cultivation of various cash crops such as herbs, star anise and peppers, fostering a willingness among people to engage in land exploration. Yet, despite her efforts, the extent of wasteland reclaimed remained relatively modest. Observing the swamp, Jia Heming hesitated, voicing his concern. "Madam, are you certain this swamp can truly be cultivated into fertile land? Honestly, there are numerous swamps in An's province. Attempts to convert them into arable land have often failed. This swamp may prove challenging to transform." Xiao Xian smiled reassuringly. "You needn't fret, Deputy Prefect Jia. Not all swamps are alike. Some are indeed unsuitable for cultivation, but others, like the one before us, pose no such challenge." In truth, it was merely a matter of perspective. With modern resources, any swamp, no matter how formidable, could be transformed into fertile land. How could it present a difficulty? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2075. Rest assured, in An's province, many swamps were deemed unsuitable for development under current conditions. However, Xiao Xian remained confident in her selection, knowing she hadn't intended to claim all the swamps anyway. Despite Xiao Xian's reassurances, Jia Heming maintained his skepticism, albeit with a forced smile. "Madam, your judgment is undoubtedly sound." It was Xiao Yunduan who made the final call. "Let's proceed as planned. Assign them tasks here and pay them according to market rates. With work to occupy them, they're less likely to cause trouble." Thus, the exploration served as a pretext. Even if it didn't yield the desired results, it wouldn't matter much. Xiao Xian shot Xiao Yunduan a glance, sensing his lingering doubt. That conversation could wait until they were home. After some consideration, Jia Heming concurred. Crucially, they couldn't afford to let the refugees idle. Unsupervised free time often led to trouble, opportunities for theft, mischief and other vices. With a respectful bow, Jia Heming pledged his compliance. "Understood. I'll attend to it promptly." He then instructed Jia Heming to escort Xiao Xian home. "There are fewer than 1,000 refugees at present, and it may be some time before we reach the next 1,000. Please take some rest for a few days." His wife's enthusiasm seemed unyielding. Despite her lack of fatigue, Xiao Xian decided not to contest the matter. It was an opportunity to spend time with her son after all. With refugee registrations now complete, the count stood at 921 individuals, all fleeing from flood-ravaged areas. Jia Heming organized them by geographical origin and, with the assistance of 4 clerks, led them to the settlement. Their immediate task: constructing shelter using whatever materials were available, be it tiles, bark, or thatch. Given the season, there was no urgency, and temporary arrangements sufficed for the time being. Uncertainty loomed regarding how long these refugees would remain in An's province. If they departed come spring, the houses would seem wasted, an unacceptable notion for Jianghu, ever mindful of frugality. Thus, the priority lay in providing temporary shelter from the elements. If some chose to stay longer, decisions could be revisited then. Apprehensive that they might be turned away, the refugees breathed a collective sigh of relief when Jianghu reassured them of the government's provisions. Grateful, they cheered and expressed their thanks to Lord Xiao for extending his hospitality. The prospect of work brought a sense of ease rather than resentment among the refugees. They understood that nothing came for free in this world. While the government could provide temporary shelter and sustenance for a few days, perhaps even a month, what then? Were they to expect perpetual charity from foreign governments? It was only logical to assume they'd be swiftly expelled. With employment now secured, they could at least count on staying until winter, possibly even until spring. Next year promised a fresh start, a chance for everything to fall into place. To maintain order, the government dispatched 50 bailiffs. Under Jianghu's direction, the clerks organized the refugees into groups and began the task of building houses. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2076. Great Harvest. Building the houses required adherence to a structured plan. First, they meticulously leveled the foundation, then proceeded to construct the houses in neat rows. Sturdy walls, fortified against mud, promised survival through the winter. The roofs, layered with bark and thatch, ensured warmth and protection against the elements. Upon completion, each family received 3 taels of silver as a settlement fee. Additionally, they were permitted to venture into the mountains and fell 3 trees for basic furniture. Beyond these provisions, their future livelihoods depended on their own efforts. Diligent workers had little cause for concern. Their earnings could sustain them. However, those prone to idleness and delusion would find no solace in government assistance. Regardless, settling in An's province offered more stability than aimless wandering. Motivated by a collective desire for order, the refugees worked with remarkable efficiency. In just 5 days all the houses stood complete. After a 2-day reprieve, preparations began for their assigned tasks. Each person's daily work record was meticulously supervised, with a clerk and a few bailiffs assigned for oversight. Jianghu instructed the clerks to discreetly identify capable and charismatic individuals among the refugees who could eventually assume managerial roles overseeing these records. Government patrols would periodically ensure compliance. Soon thereafter, Xiaoxian identified 2 additional potential settlement sites, one in Suizhou town and the other in Taiping town, both conveniently located near An city. Given the moderate population of An's prefecture city and its surrounding towns, proximity to daily necessities was assured. The exploration sites lay within an hour or 2 of travel from their current location, all on drylands. With August drawing to a close, planting season was not ideal. Plans for utilizing these newly opened fields would be made in the coming spring. Despite expectations that the flood aftermath would gradually ease and refugees would resume normalcy, the influx persisted, indicative of a world growing increasingly tumultuous. Xiao Yunduan, Jianghu, and their associates had anticipated a gradual recovery, yet the reality proved different, with numerous refugees continuing to pour into An's province. By mid-October, more than 1,000 people had arrived. The 3rd settlement was also activated. At the end of October, the news of Shuzhong rebellion spread throughout the world, and the world was in an uproar. At the end of November, Nanyue also rebelled. As various factions eyed territory covetously, and the 3 princes maneuvered to expand their influence, chaos reigned across the land. Yet amidst the turmoil, a blessing from the heavens shone upon them. Despite the pervasive sense of panic, An's province had enjoyed a bountiful harvest this year. Rice production surged by at least 30%, with some fields meticulously tended to yielding an astonishing increase of nearly half. Such abundance meant that even in the event of a poor harvest next year, prosperity would endure. Nearly every household boasted a flourishing crop of potatoes, with yields ranging from 1,230 to 1,560 caddies per mu, an unprecedented bounty. Some families, buoyed by their large harvests, even ventured into selling a portion of their surplus potatoes. Meanwhile, the medicinal herbs, peppers and star anise planted years prior were now ready for harvest. Amidst this abundance, laughter echoed among the commoners, a testament to their newfound prosperity. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2077. Good life in the country. No matter what tumultuous events unfolded elsewhere, tranquility reigned supreme in An's province. The common folk showered Lord Xiao with gratitude, attributing their peace and prosperity solely to him. Ever since Lord Xiao's arrival, An's province underwent a profound transformation. His absence would have rendered the province non-existent today, such was his indelible impact. Lord Xiao's influence permeated every facet of life. Amidst the turmoil plaguing the world, An's province clung to Lord Xiao as its anchor. Even the esteemed families echoed the sentiments of the commoners. Under Lord Xiao's stewardship, prosperity flourished. Yet, beneath their jubilant facade lingered apprehension. What if the court, in its whimsy, decided to relocate Lord Xiao? In these tumultuous times, a dependable magistrate was akin to ancestral protection. Pondering deeply, one could discern the dire consequences of an unreliable official exploiting chaos for personal gain, plunging the region into disarray with reckless abandon. In that precarious moment, escape seemed an impossible feat. Misfortune appeared inevitable for all. Hence, Lord Xiao's presence was imperative. Such sentiments resonated deeply. An's city couldn't afford to lose Lord Xiao. Under his stewardship, bountiful harvests became the norm, a testament to fortuitous favor. But the looming possibility, what if the court mandated Lord Xiao's transfer? Anxiety gripped every soul. Then a voice, dripping with cynicism, cut through the tense air. Is there even a court anymore? Which court holds sway? Lord Xiao's departure seems implausible. If we, the people, withhold our consent, the court's authority wanes. His words shattered illusions, rousing the populace to reality. Consensus emerged amidst nods of agreement. Indeed. Absolutely, that's the way forward. The imperial court can't disregard our welfare. Why not assert our right to retain Lord Xiao? Should officials dare set foot here, well, simply drive them off. Exactly. However, while voiced intentions to expel them were plenty, true conviction may have faltered. It wasn't prudent to merely chase officials away, preemptive measures seemed wiser. Eliminating potential threats before they breached An's province proved safer. There was no need for bloodshed. Rendering officials incapable of assuming control posed little challenge. With this strategy in mind, An's province's families found solace. The winter this year proved exceptionally harsh. November ushered in biting winds and chilling airs, leaving folks shivering. Over 4,000 refugees had already found sanctuary in An's province by this juncture, with no further influx in sight. The expected had come to pass. No soul wandered the roads at this perilous time. Traveling in such bitter cold meant risking one's life. Furthermore, the three princes and various factions feverishly recruited manpower, with refugees being the prime target. Competition was fierce, leaving little for An's province to contend for. Xiao Yunduan issued a decree to dismantle all makeshift settlements beyond the city walls, reinstating them to their former state. The absence of refugees turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Unlike other regions, Xiao Yunduan refused to treat those who sought refuge with him as mere chattel. He wouldn't subject them to the callous whims of slavery, no arbitrary orders, no casual abuse, no lashes of indifference. Each new arrival found solace in knowing they wouldn't be abandoned to despair. As long as they were willing and able to contribute, they were welcome to make An's province their home. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2078. Zhao Shu and Taotao are here. However, with this approach, the pressure on An's province also escalated significantly. Merely providing food and clothing initially incurred substantial expenses. Subsequently, each family would receive 3 taels of silver daily for resettlement and employment, which amounted to a considerable sum. Under his administration, An's prefecture city had flourished in recent years, boasting healthy coffers and well-stocked warehouses. However, in the past, accommodating so many refugees would have been untenable. In October, Jia Heming, Zheng Sang, and their compatriots conferred with Xiao Yunduan. Given the tumultuous state of the world, merely safeguarding An's province was insufficient. Should a group of marauders or opportunists descend upon them, their current manpower would struggle to repel them. Consequently, they deemed it necessary to bolster their defenses. Xiao Yunduan pondered the proposal and found merit in it, thus expanding the cadre of bailiffs. Presently, An's province boasted a total of 3,000 bailiffs, excluding the civilian security forces comprised of local villagers. Despite comprising only 3,000 official bailiffs, each carefully selected by Zheng Sang, Sun Bai and Sun Qian, these individuals underwent rigorous training, emerging as elite defenders. Even if An's province were besieged by 20,000 or even 30,000 assailants, these 3,000 would suffice to safeguard the city. However, assembling such an elite force incurred considerable expenses. The funds from the state coffers proved inadequate, prompting Qiao Xian to allocate an additional 200,000 taels of silver. Yet, in the midst of such chaotic times, such expenditures were deemed necessary for self-preservation. Qiao Xian couldn't help but sigh, feeling as though she were living in a surreal world she had never envisioned. In mid-November, to her surprise, Zhao Shu and Taotao arrived. Traditionally accustomed to lavish entourages, Zhao Shu opted for a remarkably modest approach this time. Their procession consisted of no more than 3 carriages and a retinue of no more than 10 servants. Additionally, they enlisted the aid of a select team of over 20 renowned martial escorts for protection. Upon their arrival at An City and encountering Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan, Zhao Shu and Taotao visibly relaxed. Their weary appearance caught Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan off guard. What happened? Xiao Yunduan inquired, concerned by their uncharacteristic fatigue, especially considering their affluent background. Zhao Shu, holding Taotao close, offered a reassuring smile. It's a long tale. For now, we seek refuge with 5th brother and 5th sister-in-law. Let's rest first and we can discuss everything later. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan's apprehension deepened. Witnessing their worry, Taotao hastened to alleviate it. 5th brother, 5th sister-in-law, please don't be troubled by his vague words. It's nothing serious really. We simply found Jiangnan a bit tumultuous and deemed it wiser to seek sanctuary with you. Qiao Xian's relief was palpable as she responded with a warm smile. You're welcome to stay here. It's secure and you won't face any harassment. Indeed, that was the reality. Zhao Shu nodded in agreement, his smile genuine. Absolutely. Given their weary state, Qiao Xian arranged for their comfort. With a mansion in An's province belonging to Zhao Shu, the servants paid their respects to Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan before escorting Zhao Shu and Taotao back to the Zhao family residence. Their stay with Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan was expected to last 2 to 3 days. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2079. Strength is everything. After dinner, Xiao Yunduan instructed the nanny to take Anan to bed, creating a moment of privacy to inquire of Zhao Shu and Taotao. Please, tell me what transpired. Qiao Xian regarded them with evident concern. For them to abandon Jiangnan and seek refuge here for the new year suggested that the situation in Jiangnan was dire, perhaps even worse than they had anticipated. While Xiao Yunduan had been keeping tabs on various regions, his primary concern lay with the capital and Xiangyang, the domain of the second prince. He refrained from probing into affairs elsewhere, acknowledging the volatile nature of the current circumstances. Amidst such chaos, developments could swiftly unfold, rendering even the most meticulous inquiries futile. Their best course of action was to focus on fortifying themselves. Strength was paramount. An's province, secluded and seemingly insignificant in the grand scheme of things, enjoyed a certain degree of insulation from external scrutiny. Xiao Yunduan refrained from delving deeper into inquiries. After all, regardless of the turmoil elsewhere, their affairs were unlikely to directly impact him for the time being. Zhao Shu and Taotao exchanged glances before speaking in turn. Zhao Shu's enterprises predominantly operated in the Jiangnan region. Even if he endeavored to maintain a low profile, the sheer breadth of his business interests made discretion challenging. His expansive holdings, including the 100,000 mu of mulberry fields in Yangzhou and numerous ventures in Hangzhou and Huzhou, invited envy and scrutiny. Despite his efforts to enjoy life discreetly, Zhao Shu's prosperity drew attention, particularly following the devastation of Zhao Mu's holdings at the hands of Qiao Xian. In times of peace and prosperity, Zhao Shu stood as a symbol of success, admired by many. However, amidst the chaos of this world, he found himself a ripe target, akin to a fat sheep awaiting slaughter. Unless his properties enjoyed the protective umbrella of Xiao Yunduan or Qi, they risked becoming easy prey. Yet the catch lay in Jiangnan. Neither Xiao Yunduan nor Qi held sway over Jiangnan. Fortunately, Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan had preemptively dispatched a missive, urging them to prepare and safeguard their assets promptly. Belonging to the faction of whatever 5th brother and 5th sister-in-law decree is right, they wasted no time in complying. After cataloging their possessions, they meticulously packed dozens of particularly valuable crates, concealing them in various covert locations. They rationalized their industries, divesting themselves of unprofitable small enterprises, houses and shops, while meticulously organizing the remaining ventures. This task was no small feat, but Zhao Shu's extensive network ensured smooth execution without chaos. As the situation deteriorated, they found solace in heeding the advice of fifth brother and fifth sister-in-law. Without their guidance, timely asset consolidation would have been impossible, leaving them in perpetual anxiety. Hangzhou, Taotao's favored locale, became their sanctuary amidst the chaos. Prudence dictated they remain indoors, avoiding the uncertain dangers outside. However, their sense of security was short-lived. Hangzhou, it turned out, was not as safe as they presumed. The escalating chaos birthed ambitious figures like Prefect Liu. Prefect Liu harbored envy toward neighboring powers like the Intermediates and Nanyue, who had effectively become regional lords amid the turmoil. Without declaring independence, they wielded significant autonomy. Prefect Liu followed suit, amassing private soldiers, replacing officials with loyalists, and seizing control of resource-rich county cities amid the tumult. In essence, he became a potent duke in his own right. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2080. This is just the beginning. Raising a private army demanded a considerable financial investment. Without funds, all endeavors were futile. The audacity of the Hangzhou prefect, launching preemptive strikes and encroaching on neighboring territories, stemmed from his perceived strength. Confidence and bravery were bolstered by power, and power, in turn, was fueled by wealth. Silver was the lifeblood of his operations, necessary for training and maintaining his soldiers, thus perpetuating the need for further funds. In Jiangnan's opulent landscape, teeming with affluent families and abundant resources, the Hangzhou magistrate harbored no concerns regarding depleted coffers. Zhao Shu's modest background and wealth made him a prime target for extortion by the Hangzhou prefect. Without hesitation, the magistrate demanded 500,000 taels of silver from Zhao Shu, signaling just the beginning of his exorbitant demands. Aware that acquiescing to this demand would likely invite further extortion in the future, Zhao Shu complied, recognizing the precarious position he was in. To refuse payment would risk incurring the wrath of the Hangzhou prefect, leading to dire consequences. Zhao Shu pleaded desperately, insisting he lacked the requested sum. After much negotiation, he managed to scrape together 150,000 taels of silver with the assistance of several sympathetic merchants who bribed a Grandmaster in the magistrate's circle. Despite his desire to flee Hangzhou, immediate departure was impossible. He had to attend to his affairs in the city. Disentangling himself from significant enterprises like fields, shops, and a 5,000 mu tea house required meticulous coordination, even in his absence. Yet, paramount among his concerns were the 100,000 mu flower field and the perfume workshop nestled within it. Fortunately, with the off-season in full swing, the flowers and trees had wilted, and production at the perfume workshop had ceased. Acting swiftly, Zhao Shu halted all operations at the workshop, evacuating core family members to the safety of the Zhao clan's headquarters. Remaining workers were instructed to maintain the estate but strictly prohibited from venturing beyond its confines. The core equipment and tools from the workshop were carefully stashed away in an underground chamber hidden within a distant courtyard. Earning nearly $1 million annually alongside Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan, their income flowed effortlessly compared to the toil required by the mulberry fields. Their modest returns were a deliberate choice to maintain a low profile. Were they to expand production, profits would easily soar. However, Zhao Shu dared not tamper with this venture, fearing discovery by the avaricious Hangzhou prefect, who would undoubtedly seize it without hesitation. Such temptation was impossible to resist. Just as Zhao Shu prepared to depart Hangzhou with Taotao to reunite with Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan, an unexpected obstacle emerged. The prefect's brother-in-law sought him out. The arrival of the prefect's brother-in-law brought yet another demand for money, this time a staggering sum of 500,000 taels. Zhao Shu teetered on the brink of exasperation. How could he possibly produce such a sum? Was this person out of his mind? Did he not realize Zhao Shu had refused his own brother-in-law? Concealing his mounting frustration, Zhao Shu feigned poverty, inwardly seething with frustration. Every fiber of his being screamed for escape. Remaining in Hangzhou was becoming increasingly untenable. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2081, Rebirth. To Zhao Shu's astonishment, the prefect's brother-in-law eventually relented on his monetary demands, opting instead to leverage his own assets as collateral. Yet, his audacity reached new heights when he brazenly requested the transfer of Zhao Shu's prized 100,000 mu of mulberry fields in Yangzhou. The sheer gall of the request left Zhao Shu reeling. Was this even within the realm of reason? How could someone make such a demand without a hint of shame? The mulberry fields yielded a substantial income of at least 700,000 to 800,000 taels annually, potentially surpassing 1 million in prosperous years. To relinquish such a valuable asset on a whim was unthinkable. It seemed unfathomable that anyone, even an emperor, would dare to orchestrate such a blatant seizure of property. In a bid to diffuse the tension, Zhao Shu resorted to jests and eventually, with no other recourse, prepared a lavish gift to hasten the magistrate's brother-in-law's departure. However shameless the magistrate's brother-in-law may have been, he showed no hesitation in accepting the lavish gift while issuing his ruthless ultimatum. Granting Zhao Shu a mere 3 days to deliberate, it was clear his sights were firmly set on the coveted 100,000 mu of mulberry fields in Yangzhou. Suppressing his urge to resort to violence, Zhao Shu implored for a brief reprieve, begging for an additional 2 days to consider his options. Once the troublesome brother-in-law departed, Zhao Shu wasted no time in launching an investigation into the sudden targeting. There had to be a motive behind the magistrate's brother-in-law's brazen demands. Zhao Shu was determined to uncover the truth, fearing that others might suffer a similar fate. Quickly, their inquiries revealed that other families remained untouched by such harassment. It became evident that Zhao Shu was the sole target of these aggressive tactics. It became apparent that the information had been deliberately leaked to Zhao Shu, a calculated move intended to rattle him. The orchestrator behind these aggressive maneuvers was none other than Zhao Di. By some stroke of luck, Zhao Di had crossed paths with the prefectural magistrate's brother-in-law, seizing the opportunity to cozy up to a powerful ally. Fueled by his deep-seated animosity towards Zhao Shu, Zhao Di wasted no time in weaving a web of deception. He regaled the magistrate's brother-in-law with exaggerated tales of his own business acumen, painting himself as a loner, shunned and unloved by his own family. In reality, he was cold and selfish, with no one caring for him. Envious of Zhao Shu's vast wealth and convinced of his vulnerability, the magistrate's brother-in-law saw an opportunity to exploit what he perceived as a fat sheep ripe for the taking. Thus, the demand for the transfer of the 100,000 mu of mulberry fields was born out of Zhao Di's deceitful machinations, driven by jealousy and a desire for revenge. Zhao Di may not have been privy to the full extent of Zhao Shu's business empire, but he knew that the 100,000 mu of mulberry fields held significant value to him. Losing it would undoubtedly strike a blow to Zhao Shu's pride and prosperity, a punishment he deemed fitting. However, this demand for the mulberry fields was just the tip of the iceberg. The prefect's brother-in-law, driven by greed and emboldened by his initial success, showed no signs of backing down. Zhao Shu could practically taste the bitterness of his impending misfortune. Furious upon learning of Zhao Di's betrayal, Zhao Shu refrained from taking drastic measures against the brothers. Their familial ties posed a risk to his reputation if news of their demise were to spread. Yet, just as Zhao Ye's coercion seemed to subside, Zhao Di resurfaced with renewed fervor. Despite his impulsivity and irrationality, Zhao Di proved himself a useful lackey, poised to serve as a pawn for the prefect's brother-in-law's machinations. Such lackeys, ruthless and expendable, were valuable assets in the cutthroat world of politics and power struggles. They could be readily sacrificed if need be, sparing their manipulators any remorse or hesitation. In the eyes of Zhao Shu, this arrangement couldn't have been more opportune. Determined to eliminate the threat posed by Zhao Di, Zhao Shu resolved to end his life. The execution of this plan was entrusted to Uncle Qing, a trusted associate. On the very day that the prefect's brother-in-law's deadline loomed, Zhao Di met a fatal accident, plunging into the water and meeting his demise. Unbeknownst to anyone, Zhao Shu orchestrated this demise with meticulous precision. To all appearances, it seemed like a tragic accident, an outcome even the prefect's brother-in-law accepted without suspicion. Thus, Zhao Shu successfully removed the obstacle in his path, ensuring his own safety while evading any suspicion of foul play. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2082, Just wait and see. Despite Zhao Di's untimely demise, the prefectural magistrate's brother-in-law couldn't help but lament the loss of such a useful lackey, henchman, lapdog, one who charged into battle with reckless abandon. Originally intending to authorize Zhao Di to request the mulberry field title deed from Zhao Shu, the brother-in-law never anticipated his demise due to drunkenness. Nevertheless, Zhao Di's penchant for frivolity ultimately sealed his fate, a sacrifice the brother-in-law deemed acceptable. Putting Zhao Di's demise behind him, the brother-in-law promptly approached Zhao Shu himself. Politely declining the request, Zhao Shu cited the ancestral significance of the mulberry fields, claiming it as the inheritance of his maternal grandparents, a gift he couldn't simply relinquish without dishonoring their memory. Furthermore, the magnitude of the request was egregious, far beyond the bounds of propriety. In a thinly veiled rebuke, Zhao Shu offered a token of apology in the form of antiques worth 50,000 taels of silver, a gesture meant to placate the brother-in-law's ire. Infuriated by Zhao Shu's refusal and his perceived arrogance, the brother-in-law departed with a sneer, vowing retribution as he left with the meager offering. Fortunately, Uncle Qing's shrewd bribery of the Grandmaster beside the magistrate averted a potential disaster. The Grandmaster wisely cautioned against such actions, highlighting the potential repercussions of publicizing Zhao Shu's retribution. Such an event could trigger widespread panic among the affluent families, leading them to safeguard their assets and seek refuge, which would not bode well for Lord's interests. Upon realizing the gravity of the situation, the prefectural magistrate of Hangzhou acquiesced, feigning ignorance to preserve appearances and allowing his brother-in-law free rein. Despite his compliance, the brother-in-law nursed a grudge against the Grandmaster, convinced that the latter harbored animosity towards him and deliberately impeded his ambitions. Despite Zhao Shu's reputation as the wealthiest man in Jiangnan, the prefect's brother-in-law saw the demand for the 100,000 mu of mulberry fields as a trivial matter, unworthy of the fuss stirred by that troublemaker. Determined to vindicate himself and demonstrate his authority, the brother-in-law resolved to pursue the matter further, convinced that his actions would not yield any adverse consequences. However, upon reflection, he acknowledged the rashness of his previous approach. Adopting a more calculated strategy this time, he dispatched his trusted aides to engage Zhao Shu in discussions tinged with threats. This time, the brother-in-law's demands were tempered. He sought only 30,000 mu of the mulberry fields and the accompanying title deed. Zhao Shu bristled at the brother-in-law's stipulation of secrecy, coupled with the demand for the profits from the 30,000 acres annually. It was a veneer of generosity, masking a predatory intent that left Zhao Shu seething with anger. To him, the concession of non-interference was no gift at all, it was an insult. Unbeknownst to Zhao Shu, the brother-in-law harbored far-reaching ambitions. His demand for 30,000 acres was just the beginning of a calculated scheme to gradually devour Zhao Shu's holdings. Once he obtained the initial parcel, his demands would only escalate. 30,000 acres today, 20,000 tomorrow, and 10,000 the day after. Each concession granted by Zhao Shu would only embolden the brother-in-law to press for more. Ultimately, the entirety of the coveted 100,000 mu of mulberry fields would fall into his grasp. Furthermore, when the opportune moment arrived, the brother-in-law planned to publicly proclaim that Zhao Shu had lost the mulberry fields to him in a wager, a narrative that would undermine Zhao Shu's reputation and cement the brother-in-law's control over the prized asset. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2083, Find Fifth Brother and Fifth Sister-in-Law. During those times, Zhao Shu faced ridicule and pity, branded a wastrel, yet emerged unscathed each time. Zhao Shu indulged in life's pleasures, embodying the image of a spendthrift young master. Despite his youth, his business empire eclipsed those of seasoned veterans, stoking envy both overt and covert. Should the prefect's brother-in-law make such an accusation, most would readily accept it. Even those who harbored doubts would eagerly use it to undermine Zhao Shu. Confronted with the prefect's authority, Zhao Shu found himself powerless to refute. His only recourse was to swallow his pride. Though unaware of the prefect's brother-in-law's scheme, Zhao Shu refused to yield at the outset. Stubborn to the core, he couldn't fathom relinquishing his ancestral wealth over mere slights. In her perplexity, Taotao suggested, why not seek counsel from fifth brother and fifth sister-in-law? When all else failed, fifth brother and fifth sister-in-law were their last resort. Fifth brother and fifth sister-in-law surely possessed a solution. Zhao Shu pondered the suggestion and found merit in it. Upon confiding in Uncle Qing, he too endorsed the plan. Caught in a quandary, they opted to lie low for the time being. Their immediate concern was to weather the storm. As for the future, they would address it when it arrived. In these turbulent times, the world was unpredictable. Who could guarantee their safety today or their power tomorrow? The once mighty could easily become prisoners on a stage. As for the coming year, there was no certainty that the arrogant prefect of Hangzhou would retain his sway. Crucially, the 100,000 mu of mulberry fields lay in Yangzhou, not Hangzhou. Without Zhao Shu's acquiescence, the brother-in-law's influence would not extend so far. Leaving openly was out of the question. Uncle Qing assembled a small retinue of trusted servants and departed ahead to secure an escort. Zhao Shu and Taotao slipped out of the city discreetly, hastening their flight. By the time the magistrate's brother-in-law realized their absence from Hangzhou City, 3 days had elapsed since their departure. Traveling swiftly in a light carriage drawn by sturdy horses, they had already distanced themselves by 500 meters from Hangzhou City. Unless the prefect's brother-in-law sprouted wings, catching up was futile. His fury knew no bounds. Gritting his teeth, he bided his time, plotting his next move. He resolved to alert Yangzhou. If Zhao Shu possessed any sense, had never returned to Jiangnan. With numerous ventures in Jiangnan, the loss was substantial. Xiao Yunduan inquired about the situation in Jiangnan and sighed. The loss of hundreds of thousands of silvers is regrettable. But to avert disaster, we must invest further. Since you're here, remain for the time being. He cast a glance at Taotao, a smile gracing his lips. With the warmth of spring arriving tomorrow, your sister-in-law will be eager to return. You too should accompany her. Spend some time with father and mother. Taotao and Zhao Shu readily agreed. Though Zhao Shu felt reluctant to part with hundreds of thousands of silver, he didn't dwell on it. Money was hardly scarce for him. Let it go, he shrugged. Turning to Zhao Shu, he added with a grin, we've brought plenty of banknotes and valuable jewelry along. If fifth brother needs funds, just say the word. We're family after all. No need for formalities. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian exchanged a knowing smile. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2084. Sooner or later, he would be dragged in. Xiao Yunduan expressed gratitude, saying, he'll certainly reach out when the need arises. Just deposit it in the account and he'll return it with interest. Yet it seemed unnecessary. Xiao Xian possessed substantial wealth, having barely tapped into it. Nevertheless, Zhao Shu's presence brought reassurance. About to decline the offer, Zhao Shu reconsidered. He knew Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian wouldn't extend such generosity without reason. With a smile, he acquiesced, very well, but it'll keep the interest minimal. Xiao Yunduan chuckled in appreciation. Left alone in An's province's office, Zhao Shu and Taotao received Xiao Yunduan's counsel to remain composed. Yet, beneath his composed exterior, Xiao Yunduan nursed a simmering indignation towards the bullying magistrate of Hangzhou. He couldn't believe the magistrate feigned ignorance. Surely he was complicit. Despite his desire to assist Zhao Shu and Taotao, the distance between them thwarted his efforts. Then well, wait and see. Our paths will cross one day, and when they do, they'll rue the day they crossed us. Unbeknownst to the brother-in-law of the prefectural magistrate of Hangzhou, there were others biding their time just like him. The 12th lunar month brought cold weather and a temporary lull in tensions. It wasn't conducive to conflict, prompting everyone to retreat to their respective domains to recuperate. Those with foresight understood that the bloodshed in the coming year would escalate. The current stalemate couldn't persist indefinitely. The three princes wouldn't idly surrender their territories, and ambitious individuals wouldn't squander the chance to seize power. With over 30 factions vying for control, the landscape of power was volatile. Who would remain standing after the coming year was anyone's guess. Xiao Yunduan sensed that peace in An's province was fleeting. Sooner or later they'd be drawn into the fray, hence, they all remained exceptionally busy that winter. Their tasks ranged from inventorying the treasury to organizing spring planting, training soldiers, and attending to various aspects of public welfare for the upcoming year. Strengthening patrols and defense was imperative. Any unfamiliar faces had to be closely monitored. It was a bustling season for everyone. Xiao Yunduan found it inconvenient to leave An's city at this juncture. He needed to be present to manage and oversee any potential crises. This year he forewent his usual retreat to the hot spring villa for leisure and hunting. Instead, the family stayed in the city. With Zhao Shu and Taotao's presence, however, the atmosphere was considerably livelier. Despite the turmoil beyond their walls, the citizens of An's prefecture city continued their lives, albeit amidst uncertainty. After the 15th day of the new year, following a gathering convened by Xiao Yunduan, Jia Heming embarked on a series of visits to the refugee settlement, laying out their options plainly. With each passing day the weather grew warmer. Within a month, anyone desiring to return to their hometown could do so. For those opting to depart, An's province wouldn't impede their journey. Conversely, those choosing to stay would be officially registered as residents of An's province. Departing individuals would receive a sum of silver taels as cash. Meanwhile, those remaining would be offered plots of land to build their homes upon. The previously surveyed land would be distributed among them based on population. The allocated land could be cultivated free of charge this time, but this concession was a one-time offer. Any future land cultivation would be subject to the regulations of An's province. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2085. Placement. Lord Xiao's compassion for their plight led to the provision of preferential treatment. Should refugees seek shelter in An's province again in the future, similar arrangements might be made to accommodate them. Given this, careful consideration was paramount in making their choice. Families would register accordingly, facilitating swift government action. Prompt registration was essential for officials to plan spring planting without delay. By the end of January, departing individuals must set forth. Any subsequent desire for housing would necessitate purchase with silver. No exceptions would be made for those who later regretted their decision to remain. Jia Heming's words ignited a fervent discussion among the refugees. It was a dilemma for all, yet the necessity of making a choice was undeniable. The decision weighed heavily on each individual: stay or return home. For many the pull of home was strong. Yet apprehensions loomed large as they pondered the state of their hometown post-flood. Would their houses still stand? Had their fields been claimed by others? The prospect of returning to a barren home stirred anxiety. Furthermore, the journey was fraught with uncertainties in an unstable world. What dangers lurked along the way? Despite these concerns, the ties to their hometown tugged at their hearts. To forsake it without a glimpse of its fate seemed impossible. They couldn't relinquish the hope of reclaiming what was once theirs. As Jia Heming listened to the animated discussions, his impassive exterior belied his understanding. Choosing was never easy, but choose they must. An's province couldn't harbor them indefinitely without purpose. They could either leave or become residents of An's province. Once they became local residents, it would be easier to manage them. Secondly, they would have to fulfill their obligations. Jia Heming gave them 5 days. In 5 days they had to come to a conclusion. Any hint of indecision would be interpreted as opting to leave, silently endorsing the decision. Once made, the choice was irrevocable, an irreversible commitment. Thus, caution was paramount. Jia Heming emphasized the gravity of the situation, underscoring the need for careful consideration before departing. The enormity of relocating thousands of people weighed heavily on him. 5 days later, Jia Heming dispatched clerks and bailiffs to the 4 refugee settlements. They erected long tables outdoors, facilitating registration for each family. Over the course of 2 days, families queued up to register, clearly indicating their choice to stay or leave. After tallying the responses, approximately 3,000 individuals, comprising 660 households, opted to stay, while over 1,000 people chose to leave. The outcome came as no surprise. While staying seemed the logical choice, the emotional bond to one's homeland often proved stronger. For some, returning to their roots, even if just to bid farewell, held profound significance. Xiao Yunduan harbored no objections and entrusted Jia Heming with the necessary arrangements. Jia Heming gathered the departing individuals, ensuring they were accommodated. Though altering plans proved a tad troublesome, expediting their departure from the city would be more convenient. Despite impending departures, no one remained idle. Reclamation work continued unabated, as wages were contingent upon labor. Jia Heming, mindful of the imminent journey, assigned lighter tasks to those departing soon, allowing them to conserve their strength. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2086. Plan. The refugees who opted to remain would be tasked with farming in the coming year. However, there was a logistical challenge. The previously cultivated paddy fields comprised only 3,400 acres. With an allocation of 2 acres per person, over 3,000 individuals would require more than 6,000 acres. Plenty to go around. The issue arose with accommodating all 660 families in that limited space. It was simply too crowded. At best, around 350 households could be accommodated, leaving the remaining 300 families in need of alternative arrangements. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian identified several locations nearby, situated near mountainous dry land but lacking in paddy fields. However, these areas were owned by affluent families who possessed adjacent paddy fields. Their solution? Persuade these landowners to exchange their paddy fields for the designated bureau's land where the refugees could settle. In return, the government would replenish the newly acquired paddy fields in the swamp, providing an additional 20 mu for every 100 mu. Xiao Xian with a smile remarked, "If no one steps up, I'll do it myself. Were it not for the fear of being accused of taking advantage, we wouldn't need anyone else." One of the selected locations happened to be near the farm where Xiao Xian had taken over the Fan family's land. To her, it was a straightforward swap. What harm could come from it? Xiao Xian was confident in the quality of the paddy fields cultivated in that swamp. They were certainly on par with those elsewhere. However, she understood that others might not share her perspective. Xiao Yunduan echoed her sentiment with a smile. "If you want it, take it. I don't mind and neither should you." Any murmurs behind their backs mattered little to him. With a secure position in An's province and his wife's invaluable support, their success spoke for itself. Those who never lent a hand had no grounds for complaint. What surprised Xiao Yunduan, however, was the response. His words held weight in An's province. The following day, 3 families promptly visited the government office, offering to exchange their paddy fields. With Lord Xiao's endorsement, support for the exchange was unanimous. After all, it was a simple swap. What objections could arise? Lord Xiao's magnanimity and integrity were commendable, earning him widespread admiration. Seeing the agreement sealed, Xiao Yunduan nodded in approval. The terms were set. Each family would receive allocations based on their population, 2 mu of paddy fields and 2 mu of dry land. The swamp contained only reclaimed paddy fields, while nearby forests remained untouched. Residents were permitted to reclaim 3 mu of land each, with the option to purchase additional plots if desired. Despite the large influx of refugees, the reclaimed paddy fields and dryland mountains were abundant. Even after distribution according to population, plenty remained unclaimed. With all the fields now under government ownership and leased to Xiao Xian for cultivation, the prospect of future refugee settlements necessitated the optimal utilization of these resources. Wasting them was out of the question. They had to be fully utilized. While the paddy fields traditionally grew rice, Xiao Xian devised plans to diversify the crops. In addition to rice, she intended to plant various annual crops such as potatoes, corn, soybeans, peanuts, taros, and common herbs. This ensured that even if more refugees arrived in the future, the land would be readily available for immediate replanting the following year. With over 660 families now engaged in farming, seed distribution became paramount. Fortunately, An's province had achieved self-sufficiency in rice seeds, eliminating the need for external purchases. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2087. Everyone's blessing. Each year, a designated individual would meticulously select the plumpest grains from the harvest to be preserved as seeds, ensuring an ample supply for future planting. To err on the side of caution, they would stockpile even more seeds than necessary. Xiao Xian, accompanied by Xiao Yunduan, inspected the crops once more before utilizing her extraordinary abilities to bolster the seed's viability, ensuring a bountiful yield. Each family would be entrusted with their own seed preservation, with Xiao Xian even imparting the knowledge of making potato noodles to many households. Capitalizing on this skill, some entrepreneurial individuals established potato noodle workshops, catering to those unwilling to prepare the dish themselves, a venture that proved quite lucrative. Encouraged to plant potatoes, new residents received seeds from Xiao Xian at a nominal price of 1 copper coin per caddy. Each family could purchase up to 20 caddies, essentially obtaining the seeds almost free of charge. As they immersed themselves in various preparations, time flowed by like a swift river. By the first month of the lunar calendar, Jia Heming wasted no time. He promptly instructed the refugees who had chosen to return to their hometowns to depart from An's province. In addition to the silver, each departing family received 20 steamed buns as provisions. Despite having spent the previous days preparing for their departure, the refugees bound for their hometowns felt an intensified longing as their departure approached. Their yearning for home was palpable, genuine, and deeply felt. Yet, as the moment of departure loomed, many couldn't suppress a pang of regret. They felt a profound reluctance to bid farewell, their eyes welling with tears and throats constricting with emotion. These individuals had endured unimaginable hardships, fleeing from catastrophe, enduring hunger, cold, ridicule, and disdain as they wandered aimlessly. Their tales of suffering could fill 3 days and 3 nights. It was only An's province that offered them refuge from the storm, providing a haven of peace amidst their darkest days. Lord Xiao's benevolence knew no bounds, he had gone above and beyond for everyone's sake. Such kindness was unparalleled, no other lord would have shown them such compassion. Overwhelmed with gratitude, someone led the departing refugees to the government office, where they knelt and kowtowed, tears streaming down their faces as they expressed heartfelt thanks to Lord Xiao. In a poignant display of unity, everyone present joined in, kneeling and kowtowing, their collective cries of gratitude echoing in the air. Witnessing this scene, Jia Heming and his colleagues couldn't help but be moved to tears. They silently acknowledged that Lord Xiao belonged to everyone. His benevolence was a shared blessing. Within a day, all the refugees had departed An's province, embarking on their journey homeward in familiar groups, filled with renewed hope. The news struck a chord with Xiao Yunduan, stirring emotions within him. His actions stemmed solely from the inherent kindness of being human. He felt undeserving of such praise. As the weather gradually warmed and Chunyu passed, farmers busied themselves with planting beans, melons, and tending to seedlings. Every day was filled with hope and meticulous care, as the year's harvest relied on these diligent efforts. By mid-February, the farmland had been meticulously arranged, leaving Songshi, Lu Fu, and others to tend to the remaining plots. Qiao Xian planned to return home with Anan, Zhao Shu, and Taotao, while also assessing the situation in Yuzhang. Adopting a low-key demeanor, they disguised themselves as ordinary businessmen, accompanied by Yi and other intermediates serving as their attendants. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2088. Returning home with over 40 individuals, even in the face of formidable adversaries, none dared to attempt robbery. Furthermore, An's province and Yuzhang were regarded as bastions of safety. Though not devoid of bandit interest, the forests of An's prefecture were seen as feng shui treasure troves for them. Yet, Xiao Yunduan swiftly dealt with any who encroached, extending his vigilance to the vicinity of An's province. He refused to tolerate any threats lingering near its borders. Thus, tranquility reigned supreme in the region. Qiao Xian and companions traversed homeward without a shadow of concern. Upon reaching Yuzhang Province City, little seemed amiss. Evidently, the prefectural magistrate proved adept at safeguarding this territory. In this tumultuous era, a remote border, distanced from political centers and bustling hubs, served as a sanctuary. Given the influx of people this time, Qiao Xian opted not to stay at the Yuezhing family's residence. Instead, accompanied by Anan and Taotao, he paid a visit to the first madam. Yuezhing Xiao had tied the knot last year, a celebration Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan regrettably missed due to prior commitments. However, they had promptly dispatched a gift. Finally, they had the chance to meet the newlyweds in person. First Madam appeared genuinely fond of her new daughter-in-law, Miss Qiu, a choice made jointly by her and Yuezhing Xiao. Her demeanor exuded both warmth and generosity. Being a family deeply entrenched in commerce, the fate of the menfolk outside was uncertain. What they sought in a daughter-in-law was not merely a gentle and demure presence to assist their husbands and educate their offspring. Rather, they desired a woman capable of shouldering responsibilities and maintaining independence in the face of adversity. After dining at Lu Zheng's residence, Qiao Xian and his companions retired to their own abode. The following morning they returned to Xiaoding village. This marked Taotao's first visit home since her marriage, a fact that filled Miss Fang with immense joy. Anan, who had been a carefree youngster during their previous reunion, had now matured to nearly 6 years of age, boasting a mischievous streak reminiscent of Xiao Yunduan's childhood antics. Despite this, Miss Fang lavished him with praise, extolling his obedience and intelligence. It had been too long since their last encounter with Anan, yet his innate goodness remained unchanged. Initially reserved upon his return, Anan gradually warmed up over 2 days, eagerly immersing himself in play with his cousins, his face radiating happiness each day. Observing his joy, Qiao Xian simply smiled and allowed him to relish in it. But soon the reality of schooling would beckon. Anan, already lost in reverie, would soon embark on his educational journey. With schooling came stricter guidelines limiting his playtime. In this era, scholars were a rarity, expected to uphold certain standards of behavior. Xiao Xian, adhering to societal norms, harbored no objections to this trajectory. Her son was born and bred within the realm of Great Qin, making it imperative for him to assimilate into the customs and regulations of the empire. With Xiao Xian's return, she found herself obligated to inspect all their properties scattered throughout their domain. Accompanied by Taotao, Zhao Shu, Xiao Sanlang and others, she ventured into the mountains on 3 separate occasions. Officially, these excursions were framed as hunting trips, yet Xiao Xian harbored ulterior motives. Shouting Village, nestled amidst mountainous terrain and dense forests, provided ample opportunity for exploration. Utilizing her extraordinary abilities, she sought to scrutinize various locales during these hunts, scouting for potential hiding spots within the rugged landscape. In the event of unforeseen circumstances, Xiao Xian aimed to ensure that the inhabitants Qi had entrusted could seek refuge with their families in these secluded areas. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2089. Chaos again. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan initially proposed taking them to An's province, yet their eldest uncle's refusal dissuaded them, a decision Ms. Fang deemed unnecessary. Despite the turmoil prevailing beyond their village, news seldom trickled down to their tranquil abode. Life in the village remained unchanged, seemingly unaffected by external chaos. Moreover, the village boasted its own inherent security. What threat could possibly penetrate its boundaries? Thieves. Unthinkable. The villagers were not mere ornaments, they were vigilant and resourceful. Even if an unreliable county magistrate were to preside over Heshan County, daring to encroach upon their family's territory seemed improbable. While spending some time with her son was agreeable, a prolonged stay was out of the question. Xiao Xian, respecting their decision, refrained from pressing the matter further. Utilizing her extraordinary abilities, Xiao Xian uncovered a hidden valley during her exploration. Within its depths lay numerous interconnected caves, all remarkably dry and devoid of insect infestations. Xiao Xian instructed her subordinates to memorize the route to the hidden valley, ensuring it served as a potential refuge should the need arise. Though some of her subordinates found Fifth Madam's caution excessive, they adhered to the directives of Fifth Master and Fifth Madam without question, recognizing the importance of their orders. After a fortnight spent at home, Xiao Xian departed once more. Taotao and Zhao Shu accompanied her on the journey back. Taotao, now a married woman, had already prolonged her stay at her mother's residence. While she would always be welcomed by Ms. Fang and the others, it was deemed more suitable for her to return to her own household. Moreover, with the world in disarray, there were ample opportunities for them to assist Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian in An's province, be it through financial support or caring for the children. As they journeyed back to An's province, the radiant sun illuminated the landscape, casting a vibrant glow upon the blooming centaurea flowers. Spring had already arrived. The common folk were engrossed in agricultural tasks. Rice, having just completed soaking, awaited scattering to foster seedlings. Transplanting would follow, necessitating approximately 20 days. By then, the warmth of the season would further stimulate growth, with each day witnessing the emergence of fresh leaves nurtured by sunlight and water. The landscape had transformed into a verdant tapestry, signaling the opportune moment for cultivating an array of fruits and vegetables. Potatoes, corn and various other crops had been sown, while pumpkins and loofahs had already begun their upward climb. Families specializing in medicinal herbs, star anise, peppers, and the like took advantage of the favorable weather to weed and even apply fertilizer. Spring heralded a season of abundant growth, promising ample yields for those who tended to their crops diligently. Meanwhile, An's province remained a bustling hub for merchants traversing domestic and international routes, trafficking diverse commodities. Yet, in the Central Plains and Jiangnan, territorial conflicts had reignited. The fourth prince launched an assault on the third prince, seizing control of a city previously under the latter's domain. Enraged by this act, the third prince retaliated fiercely, inflicting heavy casualties upon the forces of the fourth prince, who were compelled to retreat repeatedly. The third prince was invigorated and pursued the victory. Unexpectedly, he fell into the fourth prince's trap. In a bid to strike at the heart of the third prince's stronghold, the fourth prince dispatched a fresh contingent of troops straight to Jinan City. Witnessing the conflict unfold, the second prince seized the moment to assert his own dominance. He swiftly mobilized a team to forcefully annex several cities along the borders of his domain, annexing them into his territory. Enraged by this brazen move, the fourth prince teetered on the brink of fury. However, despite his bloodshot eyes and mounting frustration, he knew he had to eliminate the third prince first. Failing to do so would leave him dangerously bereft of resources and vulnerable to further encroachments. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2090. Someone from the Huaixi Prefecture. The third prince's control over the Grand Canal, coincidentally tightening around his grip like a noose, was an intolerable reality for the fourth prince. This assault had been meticulously planned by the fourth prince over an extended period, utilizing nearly all available resources. Success was imperative. Already possessing superior strength, the fourth prince found the third prince's occupancy of Jinan to be a mere annoyance, failing to yield significant progress. Meanwhile, the third prince's power remained stagnant, offering little resistance against the fourth prince's relentless machinations. As tensions mounted in Jinan amid the fourth prince's calculated maneuvers, panic gripped the third prince, compelling him to abandon the city and flee to Jiangnan. Desperate, he sought refuge within the walls of Jiangning city, claiming it as his own. Initially, the fourth prince entertained the idea of dispatching forces to swiftly pursue and eliminate the third prince. However, gripped by apprehension, he hesitated, reluctant to provoke further instability. Fearing potential ambushes orchestrated by the second prince or a direct assault on the capital, the fourth prince hesitated to pursue the fleeing third prince, quickly relinquishing the notion. Despite the third prince's ignominious retreat, he still commanded a formidable force, making it impractical to eradicate him entirely. With Jinan City and its surrounding territories now under his control, the fourth prince consolidated his hold, quelling any dissent that arose from his seizure of power. Meanwhile, other major factions seized the opportunity to engage in chaotic battles for territorial dominance. The prefect of Hangzhou, sensing the looming threat from Jiangning, fortified his control over Taizhou, Jinhua, and other strategic locations. Additionally, he extended his influence to Huzhou, Suzhou, and other affluent regions, recognizing their significance in securing his position as the paramount ruler of Jiangnan. Relying solely on his princely status to maintain his privileges proved to be a precarious endeavor for the third prince. With contingency plans in place, including the possibility of taking to the sea for refuge, the prefect of Hangzhou grew increasingly audacious in his actions. The third prince's occupation of Jiangning immediately sparked tension in the southeast. Upon Xiao and company's return to An's prefecture, they were met with an unexpected visitor. Prefect Yu of Huaixi Prefecture had dispatched his subordinate, Grandmaster Miao, along with 300 guards. The arrival caused quite a stir. As these guards entered An's prefecture city, their demeanor exuded arrogance and intimidation, instilling fear in the populace. It was evident they were not to be trifled with. Over the years, An's province had been consistently overlooked by prefectural magistrates, with no official visits ever made. For the first time in over a decade, a stir of novelty rippled through the usually placid atmosphere of An's prefecture. Naturally, it attracted attention. The streets swarmed with curious onlookers, both commoners and members of prominent families alike, drawn by the spectacle. Yet, beneath the surface, a subtle disdain simmered among the common folk. They muttered disapprovingly, voicing their discontent with the sudden intrusion of these outsiders. On one hand, there was their palpable arrogance. On the other hand, after years of neglect from the prefect, their sudden appearance seemed suspicious. Why now, when they had Lord Xiao to look after their interests? An undercurrent of worry threaded through their murmurs. Were these newcomers here to displace Lord Xiao and install someone else as prefect? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2091. A stone caused 1,000 waves. These words echoed like a stone dropped into a tranquil pond, sending ripples of apprehension through the gathered crowd. Speculation ran rampant. Why else would higher-ups make such an unexpected appearance? Instantly, fervor ignited among the people, their emotions reaching a boiling point. No. We won't accept another prefect. Lord Xiao is who we want. Yes, it's thanks to Lord Xiao that An's province has prospered. Why transfer him now? If An's province loses Lord Xiao, who knows what will become of us? We won't allow Lord Xiao to leave. We refuse to accept it. Absolutely. If the prefect insists otherwise, well, petition at the magistrate's office. An's province cannot afford to lose Lord Xiao, especially not now. The clamor grew louder, as if Xiao Yunduan were being forcibly removed from his post. At the entrance of the state office, Xiao Yunduan stood resolute, accompanied by Jia Heming, his clerks, officers and constables, prepared to greet Grandmaster Miao. As the two parties met, they exchanged pleasantries with utmost courtesy. "Ah, so you're Lord Xiao. I must admit I didn't expect someone so young. Truly a testament to the potential of the younger generation," remarked Grandmaster Miao with a hearty chuckle. "You're too kind, Grandmaster Miao," replied Xiao Yunduan, humility coloring his tone. Anan stood just a street away from the state government office in An's province. Once a decrepit establishment, neglected due to its lack of utility and the Yamen's financial constraints, it had undergone a transformation 2 years prior. Under Xiao Yunduan's directive, renovations had been undertaken, furnishing it with all the necessary amenities befitting a state office. Grandmaster Miao and his entourage were promptly accommodated at the inn, although its bustling atmosphere hinted at its crowded quarters. In a secluded enclave like An's province, visits from outsiders occurred only once every few years. Even then, the number of officials or travelers passing through was minimal. As a result, the inn was not particularly spacious. It consisted of 2 courtyards in the front and back, along with a small east and west courtyard, totaling just over 20 rooms. Upon their arrival, Grandmaster Miao and his attendants commandeered the entire east courtyard. However, even with this allocation, the remaining 300 guards still lacked accommodation. By the time they settled in, the day had already waned. After exchanging pleasantries, Jia Heming escorted Grandmaster Miao and his party to the inn before bidding them farewell. Later that evening, a minor hiccup arose when the government office approached Grandmaster Miao, expressing dissatisfaction with the simplicity of the accommodations. They requested to be relocated to a larger inn. Seeking guidance, Jia Heming sought out Xiao Yunduan for instructions. As Xiao Yunduan's confidant, there was no need for Jia Heming to conceal his sentiments in front of him. With a hint of disdain, he voiced his grievances. "Those constables are insufferable. Despite their origins in the prefectural city, I am still a governor, not a servant to their family. How dare they behave so rudely? And that's not all. They have the audacity to complain, accusing us of neglect. But can they really blame us? They arrived unannounced and didn't bother to offer any courtesies beforehand. Moreover, their sudden influx of numbers was entirely unreasonable. It's clear they haven't conducted themselves properly, yet they have the nerve to cast blame on us. They're incessantly nitpicking, making demands for grand accommodations, bustling surroundings and lavish feasts. In short, their requests are endless. My lord, I fear their intentions may not be pure. I'm concerned, they might stir up trouble. Firstly, it could be a power play, attempting to assert dominance or gain the upper hand. Secondly, it might be a test. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 2092. Definitely up to no good. Xiao Yunduan's sneer betrayed his skepticism toward Grandmaster Miao's intentions. It was clear to him that they had not arrived with goodwill in mind. Grandmaster Miao's scrutinizing gaze seemed to acknowledge this fact, as if she harbored no desire to conceal her true motives from him. Given the brazen rudeness displayed by the bailiffs, it was evident that Grandmaster Miao's actions bore tacit approval from Prefect Lu. Although Grandmaster Miao ostensibly represented Prefect Lu, Xiao Yunduan had never crossed paths with the prefect. In the 2 years since assuming his role in An's province, the magistrate's office had shown no interest in the region. Despite Xiao Yunduan's attempts at reaching out, they remained aloof, granting him full autonomy over An's province. Recognizing Prefect Liu's deliberate avoidance, Xiao Yunduan ceased his efforts to establish contact. As the conflict between the 3 princes escalated, factions across the realm seized the opportunity to sow discord and chaos. Officials everywhere were consumed by fear and uncertainty, preoccupied with their own survival and unable to spare attention for anything beyond their immediate concerns. As Prefect Liu's emissary arrived unexpectedly, Xiao Yunduan and his companions were compelled to set aside their ponderings. "What do you make of Grandmaster Miao's visit?" Xiao Yunduan inquired. "He's undoubtedly up to no good." Jia Heming's disdain for the prefect and the magistrate's office was palpable. Even without prompting, he was eager to voice his concerns. In the past, Prefect Lu never spared An's province a second glance. But now, with this sudden influx of bailiffs, it's evident that trouble is brewing. "My lord, forgive me if I speak out of turn, but it appears Prefect Lu aims to seize control of An's province. Given his lack of rapport with you, it's uncertain how he'll treat you. You must be vigilant," Jia Heming cautioned earnestly. We all hold you in high esteem and are prepared to stand by your side. But if your fortunes take a turn for the worse, we may not fare well either. If this were in the past, even if you were transferred, I'd willingly resign and accompany you. It would be of little consequence. But now, Jia Hemming's voice trailed off, laden with implications. Currently, no one could be separated from Xiao Yunduan, not even by the princes themselves. However, if Prefect Lu, his direct superior, harbored ill intentions, he could easily fabricate a pretext for his removal. Such was the precarious nature of county officials. In such a scenario, Xiao Yunduan wouldn't even have the opportunity to seek redress. His heart heavy with apprehension, Xiao Yunduan realized that his fears upon seeing Grandmaster Miao were not unfounded. Jia Hemming's resolute words only served to confirm his suspicions. Tell me, how should we handle this situation? Xiao Yunduan asked, seeking guidance. With resolute determination, Jia Hemming affirmed, we cannot yield control of An's province to Prefect Lu. No matter his demands, we cannot concede. Myself and the others stand firmly by your side, my lord. You have our unwavering support. If Prefect Lu persists, we must be prepared to resist, using any means necessary. Regardless of your decision, Prefect Lu must not be allowed to interfere in the affairs of An's province. In that case, we cannot afford to be lenient with these envoys. Otherwise they'll only become emboldened, declared Xiao Yunduan. Acknowledging the sentiment, Xiao Yunduan nodded. Very well. Instruct them to abide by the standard protocols at the inn, and make arrangements for additional lodgings if necessary. However, given An's province's limited resources, we can only provide basic accommodations. If they find this unsatisfactory, they are free to seek alternative arrangements. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2093. Finding trouble. When Jia Hemming heard this, he agreed and went to negotiate with the other party in high spirits. In summary, he declared, everything has to be done according to the rules. You can decide who stays in the inn and who stays in the inn. We will decide what kind of inn to stay in. Hearing this, Constable Li's face darkened on the spot. He angrily accused An's province of being stingy. Jia Hemming simply replied, no money. The commotion attracted Grandmaster Miao's attention, who intervened with a smile. Your An's province has had a great harvest in the past few years. You don't have any bandits and you haven't paid taxes to the national treasury. Your business is developing quite well, so how can you not have money? Why don't you ask Lord Xiao again, Deputy Prefect Jia? Jia Hemming explained, Grandmaster, you may not know this, but we all know what the official accounts are like. It's true that we don't have money. We spent a lot of money to suppress the bandits, but we haven't filled it up yet. Our Lord Xiao is very particular about the rules. He likes to follow the rules. According to the rules, anyone who comes should stay at an inn. Constable Li sneered. Who asked your inn to be so small and broken? I didn't know that so many of you came, Jia Hemming replied with a smile. I'm also quite curious. What happened in our An's province that alarmed the prefect and sent so many people down at once? Grandmaster Miao, can you reveal a thing or two so that I can be more confident? Grandmaster Miao was a little embarrassed. He smiled and said perfunctorily, it's not a big deal. I'll tell you tomorrow. There's no hurry, ha. When Constable Li saw that Jia Hemming refused to listen to him, he was so angry that he wanted to look for Lord Xiao. However, he was stopped by Grandmaster Miao. Grandmaster Miao said a lot of good things to him, telling him to make do with it and bear with it. These words in front of Jia Hemming were actually very mocking and face-slapping. But who was Jia Hemming? Jia Hemming didn't care at all and pretended that he didn't understand the meaning behind Grandmaster Miao's words. He really hated these people. They came like freeloaders and even asked for more. Why was there no one when An's province needed them? Constable Li gave up in the end. He glared at Jia Hemming and accepted his arrangement with a dark expression. In the evening, Xiao Yunduan held a banquet for Grandmaster Miao and Constable Li. He invited Jia Hemming, some secretaries, Hang Xingshan, and Zheng Sang to accompany him. Sun Qian and his men kept an eye on the inn, Sun Bai was in charge of the state office, and Ai was with Xiao Yunduan. As they toasted, the unhappiness from the day seemed to have disappeared. Everyone tactfully did not mention it again. At this moment, Grandmaster Miao naturally did not need to hide the purpose of this trip anymore. They were here to collect taxes. It was said that An's province had not collected taxes for many years. Now that the treasury was in trouble, An's province should make up for it. The prefect was not unreasonable. He would not let An's province make up for it all at once. He would make up for a portion first and take it slow in the future. Therefore they had sent so many people this time to transport food and bank silver back. Grandmaster Miao's long and narrow face was filled with smiles. He spoke about this matter in a relaxed tone, as if it was just a small matter that was not worth mentioning. As soon as he said this, the atmosphere instantly turned cold. Jianghu and the others turned to Xiao Yunduan subconsciously. The people on the left and right side quietly exchanged glances, all of them furious. Everyone had the same thought in their hearts. This is too much. This was really too much. Jianghu coughed and smiled. I wonder how much you want this time? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2094. Do you really want a revolt? Grandmaster Miao smiled. Our Lord said that 400 to 500,000 taels of silver is enough, and 100,000 dawn of grain is not a lot, right? An's province is such a big place, so we have to pay a lot of taxes every year. This is just a drop in the bucket, ha. Everyone was even angrier when they heard that. Someone couldn't help but sneer. An's province has only slowed down for the past 2 years. How can we have spare money? The prefect wants so much at once. How can we pass? There was a murmur of agreement. Constable Li said sarcastically, how you live is your business. Since you have extra money, you have to pay 1,000th of a tael. Otherwise you'll be going against the imperial court. Are you trying to rebel? Constable Li, be careful with your words. These words don't sound good. We've been like this all these years. This is also tacitly approved by the imperial court. I wonder which imperial court Constable Li is talking about. That's right, this is too much of a bully. Constable Li sneered. He raised his glass and downed it in one gulp. He slammed the glass on the table and glanced at everyone coldly. He did not say anything else. How could a mere prefect dare to disobey the orders of the imperial court? Could it be that they really wanted to rebel? Xiao Yunduan looked at the crowd arguing for a while and said calmly, let's talk about official business tomorrow. Today is Grandmaster Miao's reception day, we will drink and not talk about anything else. Jianghu also chuckled. That's right, that's right. Let's not discuss official matters at a time like this. How disappointing. Come, Grandmaster Miao, let me toast you. Grandmaster Miao smiled reservedly and elegantly raised his cup. A cold glint flashed across Constable Li's eyes, and the corners of his mouth twitched. It would be best if these people knew their place. But from the next day onwards, neither Grandmaster Miao nor Constable Li could see Xiao Yunduan. Xiao Yunduan was very busy, so he did not meet with them at all. He only instructed them to discuss everything with Jianghu. Jianghu remained stubborn. He insisted that they did not have money or food. Grandmaster Miao was so angry that his face turned green. Constable Li was equally enraged. Not only was his face green, but he also wanted to lead a search of the state office's granary. Jianghu sneered. The granary was heavily guarded. Did Constable Li truly believe he could investigate it just because he wanted to? Zheng Sang and Wu Guan were not to be trifled with. Even if Constable Li brought all his subordinates over, they wouldn't gain anything. As expected, Constable Li rushed over with dozens of people, intending to forcefully open the warehouse door and inspect it. Unexpectedly, they didn't even get close to the warehouse's courtyard. Wu Guan was also hot-tempered. Both sides clashed over a disagreement, and Constable Li suffered a crushing defeat. Furious and in a sorry state, Constable Li uttered ruthless words and led his men to search for Grandmaster Miao. Equally incensed, Grandmaster Miao insisted on meeting Xiao Yunduan. This time they did see Xiao Yunduan, but before they could voice their complaints, he questioned their recklessness. The warehouse was a crucial site for the people, and outsiders weren't permitted to approach it without his explicit permission. Constable Li was in the wrong from the start, and any consequences he faced were of his own making. If he refused to acknowledge this, Xiao Yunduan made it clear he wouldn't hesitate to punish the errant bailiffs. Constable Li's face turned green. Grandmaster Miao had no choice but to yield once more. She only inquired about the food and silver. Xiao Yunduan flatly refused. If Prefect Lu truly intended to levy taxes, he could pursue it through proper channels. Previously, the imperial court had exempted An's province from taxation. If Prefect Lu sought to reinstate taxation, he would require an official decree from the imperial court. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2095. Parting on bad terms. As long as the imperial court issued a decree, An's province would comply without question. Otherwise it would be out of the question. Xiao Yunduan saw nothing wrong with his stance. Prefect Lu was being excessively demanding and miserly. Moreover, in these turbulent times, Xiao Yunduan was keenly aware of Prefect Liu's ulterior motives. Why should he acquiesce to such demands and invite trouble upon himself? Furthermore, Xiao Yunduan had every confidence and justification to refuse. He wasn't afraid of potential retaliation. His confidence stemmed from his own abilities and the righteousness of his cause. An's province was self-sufficient, as dictated by the imperial court's decree in the past. If Prefect Lu wished to change this, he would need to provide clear justification, not merely issue arbitrary commands. With just one sentence, Prefect Lu sought to strip away the hard-earned wealth that An's province had diligently accumulated. Such a proposition was utterly unreasonable. If An's province ever required assistance, would Prefect Lu care about their well-being? It was highly doubtful. Xiao Yunduan's priority was to safeguard An's province whenever possible, regardless of other concerns. Both parties parted on sour terms. Grandmaster Miao returned once more, adopting a more conciliatory tone, almost pleading with Xiao Yunduan. She implored him to make an exception and not exacerbate the situation. At the very least, she begged, don't let Constable Li return empty-handed, otherwise he would face repercussions from Lord Lu. However, Xiao Yunduan remained steadfast. If he relented now, it would only invite further trouble down the line. Better to reject the request from the outset rather than prolong the inevitable confrontation. If conflict was inevitable, it might as well be resolved sooner rather than later, sparing An's province unnecessary turmoil. Grandmaster Miao was visibly frustrated. But there was little she could do. Prefect Lu didn't anticipate Xiao Yunduan's stubbornness, so he refrained from instructing him on the next course of action. Grandmaster Miao, convinced that Xiao Yunduan wouldn't waver, prepared to depart. But before leaving he had one last task to attend to. This time he arrived accompanied not only by Constable Li and 300 men but also by a young woman named Qingwan and 2 maidservants, claiming they were special rewards from Prefect Lu to Xiao Yunduan. I've heard that Lord Xiao lacks attendance for tea, paper and ink. Miss Qingwan is skilled in music and calligraphy, just 17 this year, as lovely as a flower and sharp as a whip. Mrs. Lu handpicked her for you. Lord Lu holds you in high regard, hee. Xiao Yunduan's expression darkened. If they're so highly regarded, please take them back to serve Prefect Lu, Grandmaster Miao. I have no need for them here. Grandmaster Miao had harbored a secret envy of Xiao Yunduan's reputed success with women. Yet, upon hearing Xiao Yunduan's refusal, he was taken aback. Lord Xiao, why are you doing this? Don't you appreciate Prefect Liu's kindness? Prefect Lu genuinely sought to foster good relations with him. Otherwise he wouldn't have extended such rewards. Xiao Yunduan's ability to govern An's province was indeed rare in this tumultuous world. Prefect Lu might find himself dependent on Xiao Yunduan for numerous matters, thus valuing him greatly. To Grandmaster Miao's surprise, Xiao Yunduan rejected the offer. Grandmaster Miao reiterated, Lord Xiao, this is a gesture of goodwill from Prefect Lu. He values your alliance. Are you truly going to spurn it? Rejecting Prefect Liu's overtures would signal a definitive rift between them. And then, Grandmaster Miao knew all too well the potential consequences. Thus he couldn't help but feel apprehensive. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2096. Grandmaster Miao doesn't think so. Grandmaster Miao, you're overthinking it. I simply find it unfamiliar to have such a person at my side. I have no ulterior motives. Please convey my gratitude to Lord Lu for his kind gesture when you return. Let him know that I am grateful. Grandmaster Miao's expression shifted. He hadn't realized he was reading too much into it. Xiao Yunduan wasn't offering excuses. He genuinely disliked the idea of having such a person in his household. And his wife would undoubtedly share his sentiment. How could he bear to see her unhappy because of this? However, Grandmaster Miao perceived Xiao Yunduan's refusal as a deliberate attempt to distance himself from Prefect Lu, refusing to heed his counsel. Why else would he reject such a tempting offer? Wouldn't he benefit from having such a beautiful and refined woman in his home? Even if he didn't fancy her, he could have relegated her to the background. But Prefect Lu hadn't compelled him to dote on such a concubine. Grandmaster Miao cast a deep glance at Xiao Yunduan, offering a polite smile and a few courteous words. He refrained from further attempts to persuade Xiao Yunduan, even halting Constable Li's attempts to argue. Hurriedly, as if fleeing from a pursuing monster, Grandmaster Miao departed An's province with Constable Li and their entourage. He was genuinely fearful that Xiao Yunduan might turn hostile and detain him. What recourse did he have? Upon hearing the news, Xiao Xian teased Xiao Yunduan. "What's all the fuss about? Everyone seems so concerned about your backyard," she quipped. Grandmaster Miao promptly reported to Prefect Lu upon his return. "Xiao Yunduan is disloyal. I fear he's plotting rebellion." Initially skeptical, Prefect Lu dismissed the notion with disdain. He remarked that while An's province might be sizable, Prefect Xiao possessed considerable wealth and capable subordinates. Yet, Prefect Lu reasoned Xiao Yunduan's power might extend throughout An's province, but it paled in comparison to the broader world. Was he truly worthy of rebellion? He was the esteemed prefect who governed the 11 provinces and counties within Huaixi province. He even pondered whether he should establish himself as a local overlord. Was An's province sufficient for him? But Grandmaster Miao disagreed. If that were the case, his actions wouldn't make sense. You, Lord, are his immediate superior. How could he dare to refuse your request unless he harbors ulterior motives? If he's not foolish, then he must have a reason. Grandmaster Miao remarked. Prefect Lu nodded in agreement, puzzled. Indeed. Miss Qingwan is a fine young lady, and your gesture was kind. I can't fathom why Xiao Yunduan declined her. Could it be that he couldn't afford to support Miss Qingwan? Was the Xiao family facing financial difficulties? It seemed deliberate. He wasn't rejecting Miss Qingwan. He was rejecting Prefect Liu's attempt to ingratiate himself. Prefect Liu's expression finally turned serious at this revelation. Seeing this, Grandmaster Miao delivered the final blow. Lord, let's not forget that Xiao Zizi's brother-in-law is Jianghu's wealthiest man, Zhao Shu. He has a vast fortune but indulges in extravagance. I've heard he greatly respects Prefect Xiao. Currently, the couple resides in An's Prefecture city's intermediate. Xiao Zizi's younger brother is the rising star of the Northwest Army, General Xiao. He's adored by the entire Northwest Army, poised to become its new leader. Prefect Xiao is not without support. With wealth, influence, and amidst such chaotic times, disloyal thoughts would hardly be unexpected. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2097. Prefect Lu wants to kill. In that case, it wasn't surprising that Xiao Yunduan didn't take his superior seriously. Lord, it's time to decide how to handle this situation, Grandmaster Miao urged. Prefect Lu furrowed his brow deeply, remaining silent for a prolonged moment. It would be disingenuous to claim he wasn't enticed by the allure of the various factions proclaiming themselves as princes, kings, and monarchs. Yet he remained undecided. Regardless of his decision, he had to maintain authority over his domain. Even if he aligned himself with a prince in the future, this would serve as his leverage and confidence. It would also allow him to achieve more significant feats for the throne and garner greater rewards and influence. However, if he couldn't even control the prefect under his jurisdiction, then even if he allied with a higher authority in the future, he risked becoming a laughingstock. What more could he desire? Furthermore, Prefect Lu found Grandmaster Miao's analysis highly plausible. Xiao Yunduan likely harbored rebellious intentions. Otherwise he wouldn't have acted as he did. Since Xiao Yunduan harbored such thoughts, he might act on them in the future. Rather than merely taking precautions, it would be wiser to strike preemptively. After all, wouldn't Prefect Lu find himself in a passive position if Xiao Yunduan struck first? And if Xiao Yunduan suffered wrongful consequences? So be it. For someone who defied his superior's orders, death would hardly be an unjust fate. In such a cutthroat world, human lives were as expendable as grass, be they common folk or officials. Even if General Xiao from the northwest inquired about Xiao Yunduan's fate in the future, Prefect Lu could conjure countless justifications. He would undoubtedly emerge unscathed. Prefect Lu resolved to eliminate Xiao Yunduan. Return to An's province and summon him here. Inform him that I wish to speak with him personally. If he complies, I'll consider him innocent. If he refuses, he must be guilty. But why would Grandmaster Miao agree to return to An's province? Since the days of Prefect Xiao, none dared provoke that territory. If Grandmaster Miao ventured there, and if Xiao Yunduan truly harbored rebellious intentions, it might not be a matter of whether he could reach the provincial capital but rather whether he'd leave it alive. What if he became a sacrificial lamb, unjustly slain to appease Prefect Liu's suspicions? In this world, nothing trumped the value of life. Preserving life was paramount. No risks could be taken, no imperfections tolerated. After pondering for a moment, Grandmaster Miao proposed, "Lord, why not send Constable Li instead? I'm powerless in this matter. If Prefect Zhao refuses to comply, I'm powerless to compel him. Wouldn't that tip our hand to the enemy? Constable Li, on the other hand, is different. If Xiao Yunduan refuses to cooperate, Constable Li's expertise allows him to easily subdue him. Let Constable Li bring along more skilled personnel. Once we have him under control and bring him here, Lord can decide how to proceed. Without Prefect Zhao, An's province poses even less of a threat." Prefect Lu nodded thoughtfully. "You're correct. We can't afford to tip our hand. Let's proceed with your plan." Lord's wisdom shines through. Acting now is better than waiting. Grandmaster Miao exclaimed, visibly relieved. So when Xiao Yunduan planned to inspect the towns and assess spring farming progress, and perhaps take Xiao Xian out for leisure, emissaries from Prefect Lu arrived. This time, the residents of An's province were already aware of the situation and had made preparations beforehand. However, no one dared to let their guard down. From the last encounter, it was evident that Constable Li was not one to engage in amicable discourse. His reappearance signaled trouble once more. Constable Li arrived at the doorstep accompanied by 300 bailiffs, persisting in his demand for money and provisions. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2098. Attempted hijacking. When Xiao Yunduan rejected him, Constable Li sneered. "Before I arrived, Lord Lu instructed us to reclaim at least half of the silver and grains owed by An's province. Lord Xiao, you have no grounds to refuse. If you're unwilling, well, remain in An's province until you comply. Why not take your dispute to Lord Lu in the provincial capital?" Constable Li's expression remained haughty, indicating his allegiance solely to Lord Lu. Any other argument was futile. The people of An's province simmered with anger. Though dispatched by the prefect, they showed unexpected kindness. Xiao Yunduan refused to yield. "Feel free to stay. Accommodations and basic sustenance will be provided at the inn. Anything beyond that, you'll have to cover yourselves and stay as long as you wish." Jianghu grasped Xiao Yunduan's intention and assured, "Worry not, Lord. I'll ensure our guests are well looked after." After all, the inn in An's city had its limitations. But it would suffice and had managed. There was ample supply of steamed buns, meat and vegetables for 3 meals a day. Whether they found it delectable was their concern. What? Absolutely not. Xiao Yunduan had no intention of visiting the province. In this tumultuous era, Grandmaster Miao wasn't the sole practitioner of caution and self-preservation. Prefect Liu's demeanor was so abrasive and irrational that even if Xiao Yunduan attempted to reason with him, it would likely be futile. Thus he saw no reason to engage. Constable Li seethed with anger, on the verge of erupting. Yet he hesitated to act rashly. He had learned his lesson from their last encounter. The constables of An's prefecture matched his skills, and the bailiffs were formidable opponents. Engaging in conflict would yield no advantage, even with a force of 300 at his disposal. Reluctantly, Constable Li and his entourage took up residence in the inn. Jianghu's hospitality irked them, but they dared not voice their discontent. After 2 days, Constable Li found staying any longer untenable. With no alternative, he sought out Xiao Yunduan once more. Meeting with no success, he appealed to Xiao Yunduan to escort them out of the city. "Lord Xiao, by escorting us out, you demonstrate goodwill towards the prefect." Constable Li insinuated that saving face was mutually beneficial. If Xiao Yunduan extended this courtesy, it would reflect positively on the prefect. Failure to do so would damage the prefect's reputation among other county magistrates. At that juncture, deteriorating relations between the prefect and Lord seemed inevitable. The Lord undoubtedly wished to avoid such a scenario. He harbored no fear, yet Constable Li's presence in An's city with 300 men was undesirable. Since the constable expressed willingness to depart, providing him with a means to do so seemed prudent. After pondering briefly, Xiao Yunduan acquiesced. Swift resolution was paramount. Unexpectedly, Constable Li instigated a confrontation outside the city gates, attempting to forcibly remove Xiao Yunduan. Had he not underestimated Yi, who stood by Xiao Yunduan, he might have succeeded. Yi swiftly countered Constable Li's sudden assault. As Constable Li's 300 men joined the fray, Xiao Yunduan managed to evade and regroup. In mere moments, Xiao Yunduan rallied guards to his defense. The 50 men tasked with his escort appeared unyielding in the face of adversity. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2099. He miscalculated. Xianxia and the other secretaries trembled with fear, huddling close to Xiao Yunduan. 6 guards formed a protective circle around them, brandishing their swords. Chaos erupted at the city gate. Constable Li inwardly cursed his misjudgment. He had underestimated the situation. Believing the warehouse guards to be An's province's elite force sent by Prefect Xiao, he had been sorely mistaken. His ignorance of the province proved costly. Regret gnawed at him, but it was too late. The commotion drew the attention of the city gate guards and the patrol team, sending Constable Li into a panic. I's fist landed forcefully on his face, sending him crashing to the ground. Before he could rise, a gleaming blade pressed against his throat, screams, clashes of metal and thuds of bodies hitting the ground echoed. None of the bailiffs accompanying Constable Li survived. They were either slain or captured. An's Prefecture city's denizens bristled with cold fury. Their audacity knew no bounds. The attempt to abduct Lord Xiao, the esteemed prefect, by the constables of the magistrate's office warranted dire consequences. They were ready to mete out justice swiftly and mercilessly. It was a deeply humiliating moment. "Lord, you're injured." Xianxia's sudden cry startled everyone. They turned to see Xiao Yunduan's left sleeve stained with blood, his hand clutching the wound. "Are you all right, my lord? Do you need assistance? Quickly fetch a doctor." Yes, hurry." Xiao Yunduan had managed to conceal his injury amidst the chaos. All eyes were fixed on the skirmish, oblivious to his plight. Yet a wave of pain surged through him. Beads of sweat formed on his brow, his complexion paling. He waved off their concerns with a determined voice. "It's nothing but a scratch. Fear not, my friends. I shall return home. Deputy Prefect Zhao, I entrust this matter to you." "Of course, my lord. You can count on me." As Xiao Yunduan retreated into the city, Yi and his men trailed behind. Xianxia's gaze swept over the captives, settling on Constable Li, bound and helpless. Constable Li seethed with shame and resentment under Xianxia's hostile stare. Regret gnawed at him. He shouldn't have lost his temper. Raising his head defiantly, he locked eyes with Xianxia. If Lord Xiao had obeyed the prefect's orders and gone to the provincial city, none of this would have happened. He defied the prefect's authority, not me. The fault lies with him. Xianxia's sneer morphed into a stern scold. "Silence him and take him away. Stubbornness won't serve you well. There are numerous ways to discipline you." Even if Prefect Lu held authority, Lord Xiao was an official of the imperial court. What gave Prefect Lu the right to degrade others in such a manner? He harbored nefarious intentions. Upon Xiao Yunduan's return to the eastern yard of the state office, Xiao Xian sprang into action, swiftly ordering water, clean clothes and medicinal ointment. Thankfully the doctor arrived promptly, examining Xiao Yunduan's wound. He assured that it wasn't poisoned and hadn't affected bones or muscles. With ointment application and 2 days of rest and medication, the inflammation would subside, and the wound would heal. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2100. Deeply stimulated this time, he had to be cautious with his arm for the time being, refraining from strenuous activity. The wound, though lengthy and deep, necessitated a day or two of recuperation. Xiao Xian expressed her gratitude to the doctor and instructed Qinyan to see him off. She then tasked Kaiwei with preparing the medicine and personally tended to Xiao Yunduan's wound. Gazing at the injury, her heart twinged with both relief and apprehension. Thankfully his injuries weren't grave. Had his bones been affected, it would have been a lesser evil. But what if his entire arm had been crippled? What if the sword had struck his chest? Xiao Xian, typically unfazed by the tumultuous era and world changes, was deeply stirred this time. The unpredictability of this chaotic world, where danger lurked at every turn, was unsettling. If only the old order had remained intact, untouched by upheaval, how could such peril arise? No matter how discontented Prefect Lu might be with Xiao Yunduan, resorting to arresting and forcibly removing him would be unheard of. Is Prefect Lu out of his mind? What's his motive? Xiao Yunduan gently squeezed Xiao Xian's soft hands reassuringly. "Are you frightened? Fear not, Yi was there." As Xiao Xian gazed at him, he offered a reassuring smile. "There won't be a next time. In fact, it's beneficial that this occurred. I'll keep us vigilant for the future. Who could have anticipated such audacity from their adversaries? Xiao Xian couldn't argue with his logic. After a moment she spoke softly, I fear Prefect Lu won't easily let this matter rest. Our relationship has soured and we must contemplate the repercussions. Initially they could have remained concealed, but with trouble looming, continuing to hide seemed increasingly challenging. Xiao Yunduan nodded. You're correct, it's time to strategize. He then reassured Xiao Xian, he's just a minor magistrate, nothing to fret over. His competence is lacking, evident by his prolonged tenure in the position. Antagonizing him was inconsequential. Xiao Xian smiled, feeling somewhat reassured. Meanwhile, Constable Li neared a breakdown under Sun Bei's relentless interrogation. However, his responses remained unchanged, repeatedly uttering the same phrases. It was evident he was a coward, unlikely to fabricate at this juncture. His consistent account suggested genuine ignorance. Sun Bei discerned Constable Li's cowardice. It seemed he genuinely knew nothing beyond Prefect Liu's directive to bring Xiao Yunduan to the provincial capital at any cost. That was the extent of his involvement, with no further inquiries or divulgence from Prefect Lu. Such an individual was merely a hot-headed fool. His cognitive faculties appeared lacking, and his martial prowess, frankly, left much to be desired. Sun Bei's disdain was palpable. Was there truly no one more competent under Prefect Liu's command? Sending such an inept individual on such a crucial mission was nothing short of insulting. Whom did they underestimate? If Prefect Lu were aware of this, he'd likely be beside himself with rage. Constable Li was renowned for his martial prowess, esteemed by all in the prefectural yamen. His flawless execution of duties earned him admiration and respect. Little did he know, An's province harbored a wealth of hidden talent. Any one of these constables could easily ascend to the rank of general. How could his subordinates hope to compare? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2101. Deceived Sun Bei approached Xiao Yunduan, his expression laced with disdain. Xiao Yunduan trusted Sun Bei's assessment, making Constable Li's presence unnecessary. Drafting a letter, Xiao Yunduan instructed Sun Bei to deliver it to Prefect Lu. The letter adopted a composed and conciliatory tone. It acknowledged An's province's lack of resources and preparation, expressing sincere regret for the inconvenience caused. Xiao Yunduan proposed that An's province commence tax payments from the current year, adhering to regulations during the upcoming autumn harvest. While seeking to buy time, Xiao Yunduan also conveyed An's province's desire to maintain amicable relations with the prefect. Xiao Yunduan directed Qin Yan to transcribe the letter, which he then sealed and handed to Constable Li, signaling his release along with his remaining soldiers. Xiao Yunduan anticipated that Prefect Lu would grasp the implicit message in the letter, thereby averting further troubles for An's province in the current year. That sufficed. Why permit others to snore beside them? None of the three princes were inclined to safeguard their half-crippled empire, they would assuredly persist in their conflicts. Perhaps by the year's end the world state would become apparent. Xiao Yunduan harbored no fondness for any of them and had no intention of serving them. When the dust settled, regardless of who emerged victorious, he would relinquish An's province and retire. For now, his sole aspiration was to ensure the welfare of those under his governance. He had invested his heart and soul into this land, developing a deep attachment. Abandoning them at this juncture was inconceivable. Moreover, in this tumultuous era, he required a sanctuary to safeguard himself. Xiao Yunduan had predicted everything, but he did not predict the hearts of the people. Constable Li had faithfully served Prefect Lu for numerous years, basking in the admiration and respect of his peers. Yet this time he suffered a humiliating defeat before a throng of subordinates. His pride and dignity lay shattered. Despite maintaining a facade of composure on the journey back, he sensed the mocking and contempt from his subordinates beneath the surface. The shame was unbearable. He harbored an intense resentment toward Xiao Yunduan and An's province. In times past he would have been powerless to act. But in this chaotic era, he felt emboldened to pursue any course of action. An's province must capitulate. Only then could he reclaim his lost honor. Regardless of the contents of Xiao Yunduan's letter, Constable Li had no intention of delivering it to Prefect Lu. En route, he employed both persuasion and coercion to rally the remaining 240-odd bailiffs to his cause. Upon meeting with Prefect Lu, he concocted a narrative, fabricating a tale of Lord Xiao preemptively attacking and resulting in the loss of dozens of comrades before their escape from An's province. Despite Constable Li's apologies, Prefect Liu's heart grew cold once more. Constable Li's account aligned with Grandmaster Miao's, solidifying Prefect Liu's conviction that Xiao Yunduan and Prefect Xiao were indeed rebelling. Exasperated, Prefect Liu refrained from acting impulsively. It wasn't due to lack of desire but rather fear. With a sizable following under his command, he needed to preserve his strength, his confidence and leverage. Losing them would be catastrophic. Constable Li's revelation about powerful individuals in An's province added to his apprehension. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2102. Imagination engaging them directly might not yield victory. Logically, it seemed implausible for a provincial governor to command such formidable forces. This anomaly raised suspicions. These individuals displayed remarkable ferocity, reminiscent of bandits of yore. It was conceivable they were remnants of the mountain marauders of old. If true, then An's prefecture's Lord Prefect was culpable. Perhaps he harbored ambitious designs long before. His restlessness might have manifested even while he resided in the capital. Upon reflection, his elevation to primus and favor with the crown prince initially seemed inexplicable. Why would such a figure be transferred from the capital? Moreover, his willingness to relocate to a decrepit locale shunned by others? No ordinary individual would volunteer for such a post, let alone a seemingly feeble primus. Unless he harbored ulterior motives. Furthermore, upon arrival he immediately commenced bandit eradication, a daunting task. Without guile or clandestine means, how could a scholarly figure with limited military resources dare such an endeavor? Yet dare he did. Not only did he dare, but he also succeeded. Upon reflection, it became uncertain whether the mountain bandits had truly been exterminated or if they had clandestinely infiltrated the ranks. Assuming roles as government bailiffs and constables, Prefect Liu extensively deliberated and dissected the matter with Grandmaster Miao. The more they scrutinized, the more convinced they became of the truth. It was as though the fog had lifted and clarity prevailed. Had Xiao Yunduan been privy to their musings, he would have found them laughable. Magistrate Liu proved himself a fool. Why aspire to be a protector when one could be a legend? Prefect Liu's newfound understanding ignited a blaze of anger within him, coupled with an undercurrent of fear. He seethed with indignation, yet hesitated to provoke them recklessly. What exacerbated his fury was the prospect of losing face in the eyes of other county magistrates. Prefect Liu loathed Xiao Yunduan. At this juncture, the second prince relocated the capital city from Xiangyang to Wuchang, initiating a fresh campaign to expand his dominion and bolster his strength. Witnessing this, the fourth prince refused to be outdone and embarked on his own expansion. Meanwhile, the third prince, holding sway over Jinling, sensed impending danger and felt compelled to take action. As the second prince's faction clashed with the fourth prince's forces in the Central Plains, they extended their influence southward. A promising young general from the Sun family spearheaded the southern campaign, leading his troops down the Yangtze River and swiftly subjugating several mid-sized cities en route to Huaixi province. Prefect Liu quivered with trepidation, as though confronting a formidable adversary. His grandiose aspirations faded into insignificance. What right had he to vie for supremacy so eagerly? In this moment, thoughts of ruling the world evaporated. Survival became his paramount concern. Upon witnessing the formidable appearance of the Sun family's army, Prefect Liu was starkly reminded of the vast disparity between their capabilities. How could the prowess of a prince from the Tian family compare to that of an ordinary local official? With little deliberation, Prefect Liu opted to surrender to old General Sun's biological son, General Sun Pu, a cousin of the second prince. He respectfully welcomed General Sun Pu into the city. Thus, Huaixi province fell under the jurisdiction of the second prince. Sun Pu received the news with gratification, unsurprised by Prefect Liu's capitulation. Such was the natural order of things. The emperor, the true scion of the true dragon, commanded an invincible army. Wherever he marched, submission followed. It was the only rightful course of action. How could those two traitors hope to rival the emperor? It was merely a matter of time before the emperor reclaimed the capital and quashed the rebellion. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2103. Someone from the second prince. Prefect Liu, seizing the opportunity for retribution, wasted no time in informing Xiao Yunduan of the situation. As Grandmaster Miao and he relayed their speculations to Sun Pu, each one was confirmed as truth. Prefect Liu's arguments were logical and grounded. Sun Pu had little choice but to accept them. Moreover, as a fourth-grade official wielding genuine authority, how could Prefect Liu deceive? Xiao Yunduan's name struck a chord with Sun Pu. After pondering for a moment, he turned to Dao Seeking and inquired, Xiao Yunduan? Wasn't he the primus during the late emperor's reign? The crown prince's lackey? Given the Sun family's support for the second prince, Xiao Yunduan, aligned with the crown prince, had perpetually clashed with both the Sun family and the second prince. Without Xiao Yunduan's influence, the crown prince's faction would have crumbled. Sun Pu harbored no fondness for Xiao Yunduan either. Upon hearing this, Prefect Liu was assured of his decision. Concealing his satisfaction, he promptly affirmed, Indeed, it's him. Xiao Yunduan harbors grand ambitions and ulterior motives. Why else would the esteemed primus and the crown prince's confidant deign to venture to such a place? The brigands he's purportedly eliminating must surely be under his command now. Come to think of it, I underestimated him. Suspecting foul play, I dispatched someone to An's province to summon him for interrogation. Yet, he not only refused to comply but attempted to dispatch my envoy. Thankfully, one managed to escape and bring back word. Justice, as they say, knows no bounds. What? He dares to be so audacious. Sun Pu's disdain deepened upon hearing this revelation. With a scornful smirk, he remarked, A mere scholar, swollen with pride from his books. From where does he summon such gall? I'm curious to witness what justifies his arrogance. Without the patronage of His Highness the Crown Prince, what significance did Xiao Yunduan hold? Having suffered humiliation at Xiao Yunduan's hands, Prefect Liu saw this as an opportune moment to reclaim his dignity. It was imperative to demonstrate to the other county magistrates the consequences of defiance or disrespect. An example needed to be set, retribution exacted. General, your discernment is unmatched. Such impudence merits no personal attention from you. He besmirches your name unjustly. Permit me to dispatch someone to summon him once more. Then you may conduct a thorough interrogation, Prefect Liu proposed. Sun Pu had no intention of venturing to An's province himself. Xiao Yunduan was beneath his notice. As an external branch of the imperial family, the Sun clan held a position of prestige. When the emperor's dominion was complete, the Sun family would undoubtedly ascend to preeminence. As the emperor's cousin, Sun Pu would undoubtedly be granted a marquisate. His status was invaluable. If Prefect Liu was willing to serve him, why impede him? In that case, dispatch someone swiftly to bring Xiao and his retinue before me. I shall conduct the interrogation myself. Yes, General. Prefect Liu, elated by Sun Pu's command, promptly returned to confer with Grandmaster Miao. Grandmaster Miao, recollecting the events in An's prefecture city and the pitiful state of Constable Li and his comrades, harbored lingering trepidation. He hesitated. Even with General Sun's support, he remained apprehensive. It was evident that Prefect Xiao's faction wielded considerable influence. What if their audacity provoked their executioner? Even if they ultimately faced General Sun's retribution, it could cost them their lives. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2104. He can finally avenge his past shame. Grandmaster Miao decisively pushed Constable Li forward to shoulder the responsibility. My lord, why not entrust Constable Li with this task once more? Firstly, it spares the esteemed masters any inconvenience. Secondly, Constable Li possesses first-hand experience in confronting them, thus he is more self-assured. My lord, perhaps you should accompany General Sun with a few attendants. I doubt Prefect Xiao would dare to defy. Prefect Liu concurred and sought Sun Pu's approval. Sun Pu raised no objections. Gesturing casually to Sun Meng, he instructed him to accompany Prefect Liu to An's province with over 10 personal guards. Grandmaster Miao exhibited sagacity and caution, while Constable Li exuded fervor. He was ecstatic at the prospect of returning to An's province once more. This was his chance at redemption. Constable Li eagerly anticipated besmirching Xiao Yunduan's name along the journey. The Sun family had harbored animosity toward Xiao Yunduan for his allegiance to the Crown Prince, but now their disdain intensified. Around 10:30 a.m. the following day, Constable Li and his companions arrived in An's province, still 50 miles from their destination when news reached Xiao Yunduan. A solemn atmosphere pervaded as everyone assembled. Prefect Liu's allegiance to the second prince implied that the entire Huaixi province lay within the second prince's sphere of influence. Previously, a congregation convened, fraught with concern. The Hua family, the Bai family, and other prominent clans of An's prefecture city all shared apprehensions. They nominated representatives to petition the government office for enlightenment. Amidst the uncertainty, confusion reigned. No one could fathom the fate that awaited An's province should Prefect Liu capitulate. Yet, amidst the turmoil, one sentiment prevailed: steadfastness. The influential families even pledged to offer financial tribute to the second prince, provided it remained within reasonable bounds, in a bid to retain Lord Xiao's governance in An's province. Xiao Yunduan found himself deeply moved yet conflicted. Xiao Xian shared the sentiment. Neither had anticipated Xiao Yunduan's immense popularity in An's province. Helplessly they watched as Prefect Liu aligned with the second prince. In the current of the times, individual efforts amounted to little. One could only navigate the currents, hoping to safely reach the shore or risk being engulfed by the waves. In the midst of uncertainty, all they could do was wait and observe. Xiao Yunduan delved deeper into contemplation. While he had his own strategies in mind, he couldn't overlook the futures of others. Despite assurances from Jia Heming, Chang Xinshan, Zheng Sang, and their ilk, pledging loyalty, Xiao Yunduan felt a responsibility towards them. In discussions with Xiao Xian, they broached the possibility of the worst-case scenario, relinquishing their positions. Should the second prince prove amenable to dissenting voices, those inclined to remain could do so. Otherwise, resignation and retreat seemed prudent. Alternatively, they could seek solace in tranquil locales, nestled amidst picturesque landscapes. Bound by fraternity forged through shared experiences, Xiao Yunduan vowed to alleviate their concerns. Finances posed no obstacle. With ample wealth at their disposal, a stable existence awaited those opting for resignation, safeguarding their prosperity for the future's uncertainties. Once the tempest subsided, they could chart their course anew. Xiao Xian echoed similar sentiments. Their wealth overflowed, insurmountable even if each were granted 10,000 taels. Even in its dispersion, it would swiftly replenish. The turmoil weighed heavily. Xiao Xian's smile to Xiao Yunduan betrayed a poignant truth. There was wisdom in the ancients' counsel. It's better to live peacefully, even as a humble dog, than to brave the tumult of rebellion. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know reports so we can fix it as soon as possible.